Hello everyone and welcome back to the 12 Hours of Road America presented by Derek Speare Designs, and we return to the circuit in the fourth hour of the race. 3 hours completed, 3 hours, plenty of hours to go rather, and we just had a little break and still keeping an eye on that battle for the lead. Now, whilst we were away, I've been having a little look at it as the Virgil racing car continues on in the lead. The 26 and the 18, that's the two cars that have been fighting for the lead pretty much the entire race we've gone so far. And by pretty much, it is all of it. The red line car has led an awful lot, and the Commander Simsport car is closing. So those two have been the main story of the race for lead, that we reckon they'll continue on as in the lead for a little bit left of this race. But the gap has come down from about 5 seconds over the last maybe 5 or 6 laps. It's come down from 5 seconds to 4 seconds. Now, I know you think over 5 or 6 laps, that's a couple of tenths a lap, that's not too much. And no, it's not really, but over a 12-hour period, that comes down quite sub-margin. As I alluded to, the number 2 car, the Virgil racing car, has actually entered pit lane now. They're very much out of sequence with everyone else pit stop wise, and been going a bit further on their stops, and have actually been going, I think it's about 10 to 15 minutes further on their stops, has that Virgil racing car. So they've been doing a fantastic job on fuel consumption, just to keep their car out a little bit further than everyone else's, which is really going to help them later on in the race. It's going to give them the high ground on strategy, as the gap between the lead now 3.4 seconds. So it is coming down pretty quick as UC Yakola is trying to work his way through some of the traffic. Obviously not a particularly easy thing to do.
Right, so now that I'm back, shall we do a recap of what we can remember from the first 3 or so hours of this event? So, after 3 hours, it is Team Redline leading the way. It's not been as so from the offset. Coanda did get into an early lead in a small incident between Enzo Benito and Martin Kronka. Meant a bit of damage on the Commander Simsport car, but they continue to lead to the second pit stop, at which point both teams made a change, in which Team Redline took the lead, and Alexei Usiakola has had the race lead from then, with a small incident from Kraus, although he's only 3.2 seconds behind, looking at the live timing. Behind them, it's been a smorgasbord of moving to and from. Inex Racing Yellow been doing a fantastic job to have moved themselves up into the 3rd position, and somewhat comfortably ahead now of Jorn Jens in that second Commander Simsport car. Radicals have had a very, very good race, nothing particularly spectacular, but running around in the solid top 5 now, and just gently work their way there over the first couple of hours. Behind them, Core Motorsports, not really spoken too much about them, which I guess is quite a good thing. Having not spoken about them, they've not got themselves in too much trouble, currently running around in a really comfy 6th. Inex Racing Red, so Inex having another strong showing, not dissimilar to Coanda. 2 cars for them also inside of the top 10. Fantastic stuff there. Inex Racing Red currently being driven by Laurent Betail. Not doing a too bad job, although I do conspicuously muller your name, so I apologise for that one. In 8th position, Virgil Racing. Their pit stop strategy has been a slightly strange one compared to the guys around them, but it seems to be working out okay. We're running as well as 3rd on the track early in the going, but have fallen back into a somewhat better 8th, and it's still a solid top 10 position. Behind them, Pure Racing Team 1, another one we've not spoken about, but involved in a lot of the sort of battle trains that have been going on the circuit. Generally keeping out of trouble, not too much going on for those guys, as I can see some pit stops cycling through now. I'm just going to change who I'll talk about next, and that is Trinity Motorsports, currently Dirk Reinhardt behind the wheel there. And they've, I believe, had a drive-through. Not with that car though. It was one of the sister cars to the Trinity Motorsports cars. Got involved with an incident as with just a few seconds ago, seen some passing going on the screen. LLM getting passed by Pure Racing Team 3 and reapplying pressure somewhat vigorously. So I think with that we've covered the current top 10, although I want to give a quick shout out to my Berica Racing team, who fell all the way back into about 40th position early on after an incident. Now running back in 10th, so fantastic recovery from those guys. Back to the racing that's going on at present, and looking through the field, there's a few battles going on. Like I say, we did just see that big old battle going on near LLM and Pure Motorsports, so I'll be interested to see if that one's still going on whilst I panically look through the driver list so that I can see it. Indeed it is. So this is the battle for 24th position. Marco Schneider's in Pure Racing Team 3 leading that one after having made a pass on LLM. LLM coming under increasing pressure from behind. That's Falcon GP. Falcon GP not on the same lap, but certainly won't be of any harm to them to maybe unlap themselves, although looks like they are lifting off to allow the Virgil racing car through. Again, so you've got a battle here and then two other cars on completely different laps. So two ready to go a lap down to the Virgil car and then another guy that's at least 2 laps down. Already the field spread massive and quite tricky to keep on top of who exactly is running on what lap, and it's going to become even more tricky for these drivers to understand that as well. So may all see a few miscommunications when it comes to letting the right people by or not. Still looking around, going to look back to the live timing, and quite a close battle going on between AB Racing Black and Glacier Racing for the 18th position. So I'm going to quickly flick myself over to that one and have a look at what's going on. Indeed it is close, and Glacier really pushing on in that 4GT, doing a fantastic job, currently running in the 18th spot. They've got past quite recently, I think, no one particularly recently. They've got absolutely miles of room behind them. So it's taken them a long time, but to have started from 42nd and to now be comfortably within the top 20 after a cycle of pit stops is a really impressive display of form from these guys in the 4GT. Currently trying, I wouldn't say chasing down, but certainly keeping honest Ricardo Costa in the AB Racing Black car. Both setting times fairly respectable, although last lap around Topani Liani Luoto, driving for Glacier, was a solid 0.6 of a second quicker. So it'll be interesting to see how long this one lasts. There's a couple of people up ahead side by side, although I don't think that's full position. Indeed it is not, though there is a battle there, and it's between Mac Backham and, well, I thought it was Andy Pears, but he's on a different lap, so we won't worry about that one. We'll go back to looking at Glacier attacking AB Racing Black, which they're doing a good job of. The guys at Glacier not really overstepping their marks so far. They could have gotten involved in a few more battles than they have done, but I think as the lone 4GT they just want to keep their nose clean and there's few dents on the car as is physically possible, as behind them Yuri Gamelkorn on a different lap in the core racing car, but setting blistering time, so he's actually going to be looking for a way through as the Glacier car getting ever closer towards turn 1, not quite close enough to make the move down the inside of the roof in front, but giving it a good go, and there's some dust being kicked up from people running wide just ahead. And you can see there quite early braking required for 4GT, but then it rolls through the apex ever so slightly quicker than the roof with all of that weight over the rear and the roof, absolutely nothing in the front. Quite tricky to get through the middle of the apex, but very good everywhere else. And all go defensive now, trying to force the Glacier car out wide, which is exactly where he's going to go. Not quite enough overlap in terms of speed there, and the AB Racing Black car maintains that 18th position for the time being. So the battle for 18th rages on. Plenty of other people close on the track, but I'm pretty sure this is the closest battle for position. And a good one as well. It'll be interesting to see if the 4GT can do anything about the roof, whilst also being caught by a backmarker behind the absolutely flying core racing car. Some side by side, not for position. Andy Pears now just in front of Kevin O'Keefe, but it took him a while, and he's not pulling away particularly quickly. In front of them, the 5th position, Radical's Online 1 car being driven by Matt Backham. Such a good run from those guys, just kept it so clean all day, and that's really why they are in the top 5 position at the moment.
As I see, coming into the lead, just not looking at the actual battle, but it is closing at quite a rate. 3 or 4 tenths per lap is Kivikas is his advantage. Really, it's down to about 2.2 seconds, and we saw really whilst those two were close, it seemed like Kivikas was probably the quicker of the two. Between Kivikas and UCD Yakola, and I keep talking over that for whatever reason.
It's probably it's got about 17 syllables in it.
Yes, it probably is that. I'm quite tired, but still. Those two, they've been close on pace, but it always seems like Kivikas is a little bit quicker. So it's not a massive surprise to see that gap coming down, but it is in fact coming down. They're weaving their way through some back markers, so I'm sure that duel will, maybe not this stint, but certainly the next stint that comes up, they'll probably be pretty close on the track, and maybe with another driver swap as well.
Yeah, and just recently gone past 3 hours into this one, and obviously 3 hours is an incredibly long way, all on its own, and still most of the cars on the track very, very close together. Just now having a look, still got 14 cars and teams scored as being on the lead lap. So that's really not a bad job for 3 hours worth of racing.
No, it certainly isn't. Just looking down the order for a bit of action that's going to be getting closer. 27th and 28th position, that's the 83 car and the 63 car. 63 car about half a second a lap faster, as it seems. And Egger is really catching the back of Hartley in the direct clutch motorsport car, so that's going to be a battle that's going to close up and change position fairly soon, I feel.
Yeah, Ryan not having the day that I think they would have hoped to have so far. Were running in the top 15-20 for the first couple of hours, but falling back further since then. Not the race that they wanted to have so far, I don't think.
They've certainly dropped back a little bit over the last few hours, unfortunately. As you said, I think that they were in that 9-car train that we saw a bit earlier in the second hour, I believe it was. Where we had that really long train that had Hardwick and quite a lot of other people. That was a long train. So something's happened to them. I'm not sure what. Not sure if they've had a little incident, a little hiccup.
I think so far just about everyone's had an incident or two. Maybe theirs was just on a larger scale to the other drivers and teams around them.
Yeah, I mean it's not massively surprising having hiccups like that and mistakes. This is obviously the first round of the Masters Endurance here in iRacing, so a few people. I don't think anyone's new to iRacing. I'm pretty sure that everyone's racing.
Yeah,
everyone is,
I would think everyone involved is currently somewhat acquainted with the simulator. Yeah.
It's kind of like I was talking to one of my friends about the NASCAR iRacing Peak Series, and he was like, "Oh, these guys, I could take part in this. They're so easy." And then you sort of like look at the time to do it, and then go,
"Mine."
All right. And it's just the same here. Every single person that gets in one of these cars, although it looks, oh yeah, I could do that. I would, out of the 180 odd drivers that I reckon they're going to be racing today, maybe closer to the edge of 200 drivers racing today, I don't think I could get on any of them. So it's
such a show of force, just in terms of the teams and drivers turning up. It's one of those races where I think I'll be scared to look at the average I rating afterwards.
Yes, absolutely.
It's got to be pretty, particularly inside the top 25 drivers at the moment, top 25 teams, it's got to be pretty mental.
Yeah, you're talking a bit more than a standard public race.
Yeah, a bit more than the second split GT3 pit lane start. Hey, Lulu?
Hey, it's funny because I love those.
Yeah, but again, that's one of the good things about iRacing is that because of the iRacing system, it caters to just about everyone having a shot at a good race.
Yeah.
Which is a nice thing to have, particularly if you come from leagues where that's not made possible. Again, the good thing, on the other hand, though, is when you get a league this competitive, that you do get such a high quality of driving and racing, and that really is what we've had so far. Still, I think nursing only 4 or 5 DNFs of the 60 starters. In fact, looking back, it is 5, I think. Yeah, we've lost one of the Miranda cars, the 88, who is full 9 laps down. I'll have to have a look actually to see if they're still running, but it looks like they've encountered. They are still running, but with significant damage and having an awful day well off the back of the rest of the field. So 55 cars still scored as running, but I wouldn't be surprised if we saw the 88 Honda Sim Sport car call it a day relatively shortly.
No, but I mean, as I said, this is the first round of this 2014 2015 championship, and to say out of all of that, we're 3 hours in and we've got 5 DNFs. That's not bad. Looking back at this battle I was doing earlier, the 28th between 63, they are about to change position as the 83 is about to get past and take that 26th position. Just a change of position on track heading down towards turn 5. I thought, might as well have a little bit of action on the stream. But to say we've only had 5 DNFs after this 3 hours in this first event here at Road America is a good thing. I mean,
even if we only had 5 DNFs every 3 hours, we'd finish with 40 drivers and 40 cars. That's a staggering number of vehicles to complete a 12-hour event.
Yeah, I mean, I've said about this before about the Road America. You said earlier on the stream that this isn't a difficult place to drive. It's not a difficult place to drive, but it's an easy place to make a mistake because you can just lull yourself into just an easy place and make that simple mistake that so many people do.
Yeah, and speaking of people trying to push for mistakes, the 99 in X Racing Red car really putting some pressure onto the 6th position Core Motorsports car, currently being driven by Alexander Vost. And I want to throw this out there, my German's awful, and unfortunately its letter's not in the English language, so I could have got that hideously wrong, but I'm hoping that it's Alexander Vost, Core Motorsports at the moment in the 33 car. Fending off 6th position fairly well at the moment, and I spoke about them briefly, that really we've not spoken about them too much, and it's a real testament to how clean and quick they've been, if that's the case.
I'm going to be honest about the because I think its last stop was about, if I'm recalling correctly, I don't know if I am, but if I'm recalling correctly, they had to stop fairly early into their previous stint. It was about half an hour through, so they put a lot approaching about half an hour through this hour. So I'd expect that Core Motorsports car will possibly be in the pit lane in the next few laps. So keep an eye on that one. But nevertheless, really good drive so far, and they are coming under attack pretty heavily by that NX Racing red car. But nevertheless, it's a great drive so far.
So you guys were one of the second Coanda car. I mean, it's been down on the rear of the field for quite a while. If I look back, about 20 minutes ago, they came up behind Yauro Oliveira from the LIT team, 7 car, who slammed on their brakes going to turn 5 about 100 metres too early, and the driver had to dive out the way and smash into the wall. And they were in the pits for about 15 minutes, so that is why they are as far down as they are at this point.
Fair enough, as indeed Lewis McGlade, calling it perfectly. Number 33, Core Motorsports car into the pit lane. So obviously they're running a pretty off-sequence strategy. This is about halfway through everyone else's stint.
Yeah, it's pretty bizarre. I think when they did it last time, I said they must have made a mistake. They are actually having a driving swap as well. Was Danny Guisa
gets back in the car. He was actually their starting driver, I think.
But that car, I feel like there must have been a mistake. But to say they were running up that far, I don't know if there could have been that much damage. I don't know, maybe someone underfueled or or something like that. It's pretty bizarre to see them off kilter this much. Like, seeing someone off kilter a few laps, when you see someone off kilter, but the entire stint, you're talking 15 laps here, that they're off everyone else.
Very true.
It's quite...
Of course, they could know something we don't know.
They could. And something I might be asleep to find out.
I'll pass on the information later on, shall I?
Yes, would be appreciated. No, I'm interested to see what happens with this core car, because it's always nice to see someone off strategy with everyone else, just to see if it will pay off. They're always the more interesting ones to look out for, I feel, because they've got... I don't know if it's less to play for or more to play for. It depends on how much confidence they have.
It is a tricky one to call, certainly.
There's also, in the background of Lenny Greaser, who exits the pit lane, you have the battle for the lead. Now, that's basically a second. That's 1.1 seconds as they crossed the line last time.
0.7 now.
Now, that is getting really close.
I think Klaus might be on it a bit.
He is on it. He's doing some really decent laps, and it's not like UC Nicola is being a bit of a push as well. It's just Klaus is very on it at the moment, and is determined to retake that lead. And obviously, the mistake coming up at the corner they're approaching now, he made a little bit earlier on in the previous stint. He's really determined to retake that lead for Commander Simsport.
Commander, of course, a new team here on iRacing, but a new team made of a house of previous extremely competitive, or I say previous and current extremely competitive drivers. So Klaus Kivikas obviously adding to that one. Martin Kronk, who was in the car before, stunningly quick bloke, and really took the fight to Enzo Benito through those first couple of stints. And Klaus Kivikas looking to do the same now with the Team Redline car in stint 3. Or 4, whichever one it is. 4, I think.
4. This is the 4th stint, yeah. I think. I don't know. Yeah.
We're doing so well.
This is the moment we get told that we're correct, and then
It's impressive.
I'm thinking, and then well, no one knows. But yeah, there you go. This should be 4th stint.
It'll be interesting to see, because one thing that both the Commander and the Team Redline car has struggled with is when they're quicker is actually making the pass, because they're travelling around the track so much quicker than the other teams. There's less margin for late braking with what they're doing, so the pass tends to be quite a difficult thing to do for these two cars.
And we saw earlier in the race that when these two have come together previously, they Kivikas passes and then is immediately repassed, because it just, you can't just hold ahead because he's compromised so much into whatever corner he's passed into. The very next corner, he gets taken again. So it's almost futile in a way. You have to wait. You have to think of something else. Like you have to wait for a mistake or something. But either way, he's now kind of a little bit in the slipstream. He's Kivikas.
Yeah, I'm thinking Kivikas is actually going to have to use the slipstream to make the pass. There's just no way he's going to get any quarter elsewhere on the track. So he's going to have to accelerate enough to make a pass through the draft. And to have it stick, I think.
Yeah, this one's getting a really good run off the corner and perfecting it down and straight. It's going to take maybe a couple of attempts. Hopefully he can do it first go. But somehow you'd feel it unlikely as you see Nicola is he's not going to move over.
No, certainly not. If anything, I'd imagine that he's putting his foot down a bit more than he was now.
Well, we've seen it a few times before in this where Kivikas has gone for a move. You see Nicola and he's gone. No, we're not. I'm not losing this here. And just held it around the outside. As we saw a bit earlier on at 1, 2, and 3. Just held it around the outside and fantastic defensive move. But that's just showing what Kivikas has to do to retake the lead here at the Red American.
So just looking at the point system, in case you're not already aware, at the top, it looks like the top 21 drivers score points. Wait. Yes, I missed. Yes, I was looking at the table, and the table there was a thing. Yes, everyone scores a point up until 58. Yes, indeed. So position 1 scores 100, position 2 scores 90, 85, 80, etc. So, and that's the same for all the races of the season, including the 6 hours, aside from the 24 hours, which is double. So everyone gets double points. So that's the race you definitely will be finishing.
So this is really, in terms of points, a bad value for money event. So you're getting the same points from this as you do from a 6 hour.
Hours per point? Yeah, you're getting ripped off.
Yes. That would probably be the correct way of putting it, wouldn't it?
Or more value for money. Yeah, no, just looking at that lead battle, staying pretty close as I see the lap count marks as a very important number, 100. Yay, 100 laps, yay.
So that would get what? A little under 400? That could be right.
Yeah,
A little under 400.
Probably about 350. I don't count that. But 100 laps complete, and these two still incredibly close. It's gapped 2 seconds. The 5-second gap was the biggest it's been, and back under a second it is now for the lead, showing that these two are absolutely on form with each other.
I'm thinking that Kivakass is currently quite a bit quicker though. You've got a Eunice Nipperainen behind them in that Radicals Online 3 car in the 13th spot, who is lapping at the same pace. I almost feel as though Alexei Usiakola is holding Klaus Kivakass up a bit at the moment.
Possible strategic play for whatever reason. I don't know why that would help strategy-wise, but you never know.
In terms of, it wouldn't back up the Commander car even remotely enough as is. As in fact, he's got a massive run now coming onto the back straight. I think we're going to see a move get done into turn 1 here by Klaus Kivakass. Holds it in the draft. Is he going to look to the inside at the last minute? No, he isn't. He's going to stay in line. I would have thought that would have been an opportune moment to try and put your nose down the inside, but he thought better of it.
Maybe he's looking towards turn 5 and try that again, as he did earlier on in the race. Messed it up. Won't do that again.
No, I think he's learned from his mistake now.
Yes.
Probably got a bit scared when he started scraping the walls. And again, fantastic run onto this back straight. Plenty of the draft being used up.
Have a look. He's staying cautious, staying patient, waiting for the right move to know how close he really wants to be before actually diving it down the inside. But quickly approaching that 4-hour mark, and another strategy call between the teams. I get the feeling if he is faster, he needs to get past him ASAP and take advantage of that pace before pit stops.
How much fuel can you save just by lifting off in the draft of another car? Could you save a lap?
I would think over the course of a stint, if you did that and other fuel-saving techniques, you could save in the region of 1 to 2 laps. But again, I don't think that's really of use. They're both so on pace with each other that neither of them really wants to afford to go off strategy with the other at this stage.
Yeah, I guess you can never guarantee you're going to have a drafting partner, so you can't really play that into your overarching strategy.
Again, they can't really work out whether the undercut would work or not. They don't know where you'd come out in traffic relative to the other and all sorts of things such as that. So really they want to pit together because it eliminates that variable from the racing for both of them.
Interesting that the lead car of Alexei Usiakola always takes a slightly wider line through the neutral. It always looks like he's about to go off, but actually just takes a wide line onto the concrete on the outside. But it's not even concrete, just the same tool as the racetrack made them. But yeah, he seems to like that a bit better, whereas Kivakass tends to keep it a bit tighter and goes for a wider entry into the next corner, the final turn.
Briefly going to look at another battle that's brewing, which is the 33 car, the Core Motorsports car, has managed to get right up onto the back of Radicals Online 2 after their somewhat off-kilter pit stop. Although that said, even with that off-kilter pit stop, they're running in 11th, so obviously plenty of pace in that car, and they're using it up fairly well. Looking, I would think, to make a move maybe down to Canada Corner with their current pace. Ooh, having a look there, but that's not going to work. Far too far back, and has to slot back in. In fact, probably loses a bit of momentum on the exit of the corner as they head now into the carousel. Still 35 leading the 33 here for the battle that's going to decide the last position in the top 10 for the time being. Very, very wide there from Core Motorsports, looking to use up all the road to get a run. I imagine we're going to see much the same as they go through the kink now, although they keep it nice and in line. Don't know how much the draft's going to affect them here. They've got a good run, but still a bit far back to realistically make a move going down into Canada Corner. Indeed, that's the case, so going to have to look towards turn 1, I'd think, for the next passing opportunity.
I'd certainly agree with that. There's a lot of patience with this move, a lot of time to wait, I suppose.
Oh, and there's the move.
Well, but yeah, Vincenzo Amico sort of lost it on the way in, and then through the middle of the corner, he wasn't really under that much pressure. But what Guisa had done was he put his car up the inside. There was no chance of a move taking place, but it just put Amico off and forced him into a mistake. Amazing stuff. And it looks like he's not going to be able to get back past either. So I'm not sure if it was a clever bit of mind games, as we were saying, or just a unfortunate mistake for the.
And worth looking back now to the battle for the lead, as Klaus Kivikas as close as he's ever been, as Alexei Usiakola is going to experience a bit of lapsed traffic. It'll be interesting to see now if Kivikas can use this to his advantage. He's got a double slipstream here, and will he be able to pull out and get alongside? They might even go heading towards 3 wide down into turn 5.
Oh boy.
Oh, he's looking at it but thought better of the idea. As both those leaders successfully negotiate the back markers. Not really changing the gap too much there, so everything went better than expected for Alexei Usiakola, especially seeing as he seems to go quite...
This battle for the lead, it's as Oscar was saying, it wasn't really changing too much through traffic, which helps. Usiakola, not too great for Kivikas, but I still feel I agree with what Oscar said earlier, that Kivikas is probably a little bit faster around this track at this present moment in time. But Usiakola, I think, has stepped it up. I also believe I heard a crash. I don't know if it was just my ear.
Your ear crashed?
No, I just, coming up with Canada Corner, I thought I heard like, as you do, pretty standard.
Yeah, standard stuff. Canada Corner.
Yeah.
Crash corner.
Crash Corner, yeah. Those two though, for the lead, pretty close, but a little bit too much between them at the moment, and it's not that traffic, it's just space, so I don't think those two will make a move anytime soon. So if we go and look at a battle, I'm sure they will. I remember finding another battle on this field is pretty difficult.
The leaders are just keeping it so close, it's very difficult to peel our eyes away from it.
Yeah, so we've been fairly fortunate so far. We've seen most of the big moments in the league battle between these two. And yes, it would be irresponsible to not be looking when they are this close. But then again, maybe Kivikas doesn't fancy passing. It's just it's not working. Only had like a split screen type deal. Keep them in there all the time.
Yeah, we've been told about P3 and P4. There's only 1.5 seconds between them. It's got up to about 1.8. But Jorn Jens in the 11 car in P4 in the McLaren is closing up to the back of the Inex Racing yellow car. Now, early as it is, we're approaching 1/3 complete, and those two closing up, that is the battle for the podium, so pretty close. And the other thing I point out is the Inex Racing yellow car is lapping about the same as the leaders. So the Carrera Simsport car, the McLaren, is actually closing on the lead battle. There's only about 14.8 seconds between P3 and P2. So realistically, it's actually they're still kind of in the hunt. They're not dropping that far. So based on the time at the moment, the Inex Racing yellow car, the Carrera Simsport, the second one. All racing still pretty close.
Yeah, you couldn't count them out at this point. Even 15 seconds with this amount of time still to go. Not bad at all. I spotted Joe Letorello continues his eventful stint. He went completely off the road at Bill Mitchell, all the way around the outside. I think he's been off a couple of times there now. Not a fan of Bill.
The Inex Racing yellow car has actually come into the pit lane, as we've just been told. Another car running off strategy, really. They're pitting probably 15 minutes out from other people as William Vest gets in the car. See how quickly he goes. Generally a pretty quick driver.
That right for braking though.
So just see how quickly he can attack this track and where he can manage as well. I know he is pretty quick on his GT cars, so pretty good driver to stick in if you need to close up to that lead group. 85 is exiting the pit lane. So I don't know what position they've got back into, but probably that eighth position, which, to be honest,
the quality of the field, that's
impressive.
Yeah, that's a great result.
To say, this is them having much more than a few cars in front. They are showing that this team does have some really impressive pace.
They are basically a net third when all the stops cycle through. So, and now as well on the new tyres, no doubt William Levesque will be making time on that second Commander Simsport car and building up the third place gap even more than it was. Again, I don't know if they know something that we don't, or if their strategy is just different and maybe not quite as quick as the other guys.
Well, I'm going to assume these guys probably know something that we don't, based on the fact that they're driving and they're fast. I'm sure quite a few laps of practice has gone into testing for this event. You would think
only 1 or 2. Yeah,
I don't think much more than that. You're not talking a couple of hundred.
But no, it's been fantastic so far, and you really got to take your hat off to everyone that's still remaining on the lead lap, because it's just an incredible feat, particularly with the pace that the front two have been doing. It's just unbelievable. And then, at the moment, they're not even the quickest car on the track. That would be Virgil Racing last time by, I think, was their fastest car on the circuit. So, and they're only around 6th position in the roof.
Yeah, and obviously those are another team that's running off strategy with everyone else, running further into the stint, possibly going for one stop left, which doesn't put them into the lead of the race.
If everyone was to stop now, and then Virgil had that one stop less, they would be leading. And looking at the rate that they're sort of falling off, I mean, they're certainly on for a top 5 if that's their intention.
And as we've said, the quality of this field, the top 5 is absolutely respectable. It's such a good result. For the first event here, the first round of this championship, there's still quite a ways to go in this championship. Plenty more rounds to come, and the thing that I say to them is that if they can keep doing that one stop less going to some of the 6-hour rounds, that is going to be an incredibly useful thing to do. If they can stretch it out just that little bit further than 6 hours and do one less stop moving else, it's very, very difficult in a race half as long as this. But if they could do that, that would be such an advantage.
So I'd be interested as well to see if Virgil later on put Anders Dahl into the car. Not sure if he's on the roster for today, but he's an incredibly quick bloke, probably the fastest guy on their team, and we've not seen him out yet. So should he be turning up later on, Virgil could push themselves even further up the field.
Yeah, it's again, a long way to go in this race. We're approaching the 1/3 mark. So getting closer, getting more tired. But there are a lot of strategy and I'm sure a lot of cards to be played in the next third of this race.
What do you guys reckon to the rest of the calendar? You've got some pretty interesting tracks now. And which one is the one that whets your appetite the most? We've got Suzuka, Spa, Kota, and Bathurst.
I think we're both big Kota and Bathurst fans.
I do enjoy Kota. Me and Oscar drove there in some skip barbers a little while ago. That was some good fun.
Ooh,
but
the leader just ran off the road at the kink, and Kivakes is probably going to possibly try and make a pass. Maybe not. No, but that was a little bit of a scary moment. To be honest, he was fully off the track, but kept his foot planted and somehow got away with it.
Yeah, it was pretty impressive. But remaining in the lead is Yusi Nicola. And to answer the question, for me, probably would be Bathurst.
Yeah, I agree. I mean,
it's such a good track.
Yeah, so much to that circuit. There's Kravskis again gets a fantastic draft here. I think McLaren's just got a little bit more straight line speed and it's making it more of a struggle. But it'll be interesting to see if he tries a move. Again, he's just biding his time and staying in line.
Yeah, I don't know, they're trying to think of something strategy-wise because he's not going for that move. I mean, don't get me wrong, Turn 1 is not a place I'd like to go. These cars have actually come to contact at Turn 1, so I'm sure they might be a little bit sceptical of attacking there, but he just seems to be getting close and then going, no, I'll leave it this time. And he's done that a few times as Kivakes.
Yeah, and as the gap sort of just levels itself again, I think maybe in terms of talking about the calendar, it might be worth talking to one of the people that helped form it, who has joined us in the commentary box for hopefully a good while yet to come. Jonathan Palmer is here. Hello.
Hello.
Very sprightly American voice to break up all the English, as again we're seeing that Team Redline car getting it wrong through the corners, going off onto the grass, really seemingly struggling with the traffic or the tyres or something, not looking comfortable for Alexei Yusiakola at the moment.
Yes, indeed, Jonathan Palmer is here, one of the brains. No, brain might be the wrong
Don't
to
give
use.
me that much credit.
No, but one
of the components of the collective brain.
Yeah.
It takes 3 people to make.
Indeed, yeah. How have you seen the race so far? Any tough calls you've had to make?
I have exactly 10 minutes of the race so far.
Oh, excellent.
So you know a lot of what's happened.
Exactly.
Cars have gone broom broom.
That about covers it. As both the leaders making their not quite actually.
Yeah.
Getting split there by Vincenzo and Miko.
Were you going to ask me something about the calendar?
Yeah, just obviously you presumably are part of the team that put it together, and you're not much of a driver yourself, but do you have any personal favourites yourself?
It's a great safety car, though.
No, I'm not.
No.
Of the tracks that we have in the season, I'm just going to have to say that my favorite is Spa. Not just because, I've only made the crappy slow jet. Driving the Jetta. But no, I think all the tracks that we do have on the schedule are great in their own right. Road America, I think, is the one that is. No, I'm actually sure that Road America is the one that is closest to me if I were to be able to track the calendar in reality. But I think Stage is the best because everyone knows it's good and it's great drafting up the Kemmel Straight. It's seeing all 60 cars going into the first time in the race.
That's pretty sweet.
Is going to be incredible. I think my favorite track there will be Spa.
Certainly a spectacle with all that elevation change and an incredibly long circuit.
I hope this Spa event won't be quite as horrifically eventful as the real life 24 hours of Spa.
Yeah.
That was
My goodness.
atrocious.
Currently,
Really
these sim racers are making all of those real world races look like rookies in terms of how clean they've been. Just fantastic driving from these guys. And yeah, the real life Spa 24, a bit too much in the way of questionable driving.
Yes, that was me.
So you've asked me a question. Can I ask you all a question?
If you want.
Who here has heard of IGT Management?
Yes, I think.
Yep,
I'm pretty
I can
sure
say
we'll
that.
all have had a go with it at some point.
Yeah.
No, I
And you all are aware that it is one of the sponsors of Masters of Endurance.
certainly are, along with Derek's Spin Designs, obviously.
Yep. So this one thing that we're doing is each round we have a code that gives you something from IGP.
Sounds nice. Sounds quite friendly, to be honest.
This round, the code gets you 1,000 free reward points, which is a £9.99 value. Catch is, you have to be a new member or you've never bought reward points before. So if you are a new member to IGP, or if you've never bought reward points before or used reward points before, you can use this code. You have to select 1000 RP option under account settings. You can go to purchase reward points. The code is MOE.
That is a difficult code.
That's
Yeah.
imaginative. I mean,
I
that's-
couldn't predict that.
It is on the MOE Twitter, Masters of Endu, and also Facebook.com/Masters of Endurance. You can get the code. Not sure quite yet what we'll have for other rounds.
Still, not a bad start. And here, speaking of reward-related stuff, there are actual legitimate physical real-world prizes on this
Why, yes.
championship. Which, if I were to find the part of the website that shows me that, then I could talk about it, perhaps.
I
But
could talk about it.
yes, well, yeah, I imagine you know.
So, yeah, well, as I'm sure most of you know, this is the 12 Hours of Road America, presented by Derek Spear Designs. Derek Spear Designs, which I'm sure many of you know, the track boss, button boxes, etc. Season top 3 are on for prizes. So the team that wins the championship will get their share of 3 Derek Spear Design track bosses, plus IGP subscriptions. Second place will get IGP subscriptions plus $100 in iRacing credits. And I believe Phil Diaz, our camera guy and one of the masterminds behind the series this season, is providing all that.
Thanks for
Then,
that.
third place gets my IGP subscriptions. 3 more DSD track boss button boxes will also be given out too. A driver chosen at random completed over 10 hours. The driver with the lowest incidents per lap, out of a minimum of a total of 300 laps.
Oh, that's
And also,
interesting.
a driver chosen at random competed in all 5 races. Drivers who finish in the top 3 are not eligible for additional prizes.
So basically, lots on offer for the people taking part. And of course, a big part of MOE is that actually they're not having to pay any money to take part, I don't think.
There is no entry fee, correct?
So basically, a lot of hard competition where you could, in theory, get something only based on the driving and nothing else. Quite nice for the guys entering this series. Certainly can't lose anything, but plenty to gain.
And there may be more prizes for an individual round if we get more sponsors or figure out other things we can do.
So, just to interrupt you there, both leaders are now pitted. The first two, Kimi went a lap longer than...
And it's rolling down the pit lane now.
Yes.
So it's going to be interesting to see here. Because I think the pitting 1 lap before from Redline Racing will be a slight advantage having the new tyres, particularly on that McLaren where it turns on the tyres a bit quicker. I'm thinking that they're going to be the ones to watch.
Obviously, something we'll have to look out for approaching, or actually into the 5th hour of this event. 4 hours of talking, which is great, but there has been a driver swap.
Yeah, oh yes indeed, and just to say, Alexei Uziakula has actually got caught up behind a couple of cars in traffic, which isn't going to help his chances of getting back through ahead, although yeah, the undercut being on those fresher tyres sooner will probably have helped, but yes, he was stuck behind 2 McLarens for a good portion of the lap, and he's actually still behind the pure racing line. That's a few seconds down the drain, but it'll be interesting to see exactly where he comes out. He comes onto the start finish straight now, a bit of a slipstream, so yes, let's wait and see.
Yes.
Are you one of the monks of endurance? You got called out on Twitter.
Just to interrupt you there, and yes, ex-Alexei Uziakula just gets ahead there side by side into turn.
Oh,
That was close.
that was incredibly close.
I think those traffic cars were just right for the just to make that a nice spectacle. We can see how
Yeah, they got certainly quicker there.
From the left.
Yeah, it's where the pure motorsports McLarens has left the States by the looks of it. How far they were away from
funny
the
place to
circuit.
go off. That is kind of. I wonder if they got contact. I'll have a look. No, all by itself. It was last time around.
So what have I been called on Twitter? Apparently.
You don't want to know me.
A gentleman named Randy Chenoweth has tweeted using the hashtag IRMOP, saying 7 days and 2 endurance races to run in that Mr. Oscar Hardwick is commentating.
Yeah, because I just like ruining my body and my voice. So,
Well, no one else wants to.
yeah, 7 days ago I commentated on a 24-hour broadcast, and I was awake for about 20 hours of it. And whilst me and Lewis McGlade are shortly due to leave and go and do some racing ourselves, I'll be commentating on, I think, a solid 6 to 8 hours of this one as well.
I think so. With just under 8 hours to go, you'll be going for 3 hours, 4 hours.
3 to 4, I think, is a fair estimate.
Depending on how many things you can break on afterwards.
Yeah. But yes, it has been incredibly entertaining so far. Battles up and down the field, and not too many big incidents. One or two.
Some smoke coming into the pit lane ahead of the 2 leaders. Who's that? That is Tim Wick of Exo Racing. He's P33 and he's now rather smoky in that rear end.
Engine slightly.
That's one way of putting it, yeah.
That's a shame because they had been running down in the sort of 50s for quite a lot of the first couple of hours, so they'd moved their way up and looks like it's getting a repair, but I'm not quite sure.
Yeah, hopefully it does.
They're putting Will Fisher in the car. There's still smoke pouring from the engine, and I think really if you've used up your free tow and that engine's gone, it's game over.
Yeah, well, I can smell smoke in my room, so maybe I've got a spare engine. Jeez.
You didn't burn your peanut butter toast, did you?
Peanut butter toast.
And they have left the car.
That's it.
Game over.
It's a shame.
They give you driver. Or the one driver left.
Anyway, I think it's high time that we hand this one over to Michael Passingham and
Indeed.
Jonathan Palmer. and hopefully we shall both be joining you again later for the closing hours of the event.
Enjoy your race.
You have 4 hours, Max. If not, we'll send the dogs.
Okay,
Ooh.
that sounds like a reasonable threat. See you in 5 hours then.
Yes, indeed.
Good luck
Good
in
day.
your other ventures.
I'm going to need more than just luck today.
He needs that other thing. It's called practice, which he never does.
Anyway, thank you very much for having us for the first few hours, and we shall look forward to joining you again soon. Good luck with the rest of the broadcast.
Indeed. Hopefully the race is good. You're all in it.
Thank you. Well, just a reminder, you are watching the 12 hours, the Masters of Endurance 12 hours of Road America, presented by Derek Speare Designs. And just over 4 hours into this race, it's being led by Team Redline, followed closely by Coanda Simsport. And it's been pretty much a two-horse race for the last 4 hours between these two teams. Various drivers, various combinations have overtaken each other, collided with each other, and generally been very close to one another. And it's been really interesting to watch, and I would be surprised if it wasn't like this for quite some time to come. Currently the lead car is driven by Alexei Uzi-Yakura, Redline McLaren. Second place BMW is being driven by Renz Brookman, who has just got in the car in the last 10 minutes, so he'll be a fresh pair of eyes and arms to manhandle this sometimes tricky to drive car and see if we can get past that very good looking McLaren.
So I've just had a look at the Tim Wake incident that caused his engine to grenade in replay.
What happened?
Canada! Grass on the left, start to spin and hit nose first. If he had clipped the grass about another 5 or 10 meters on, he might have missed the wall, just had a slightly bigger. So.
Either way though, game over unfortunately. And that's something that's obviously for those of this, the audience and the drivers who have come from Liquid Speed, who might have driven the Liquid Speed Master of Endurance all those years ago, there were second chances in that championship, whereas here there really are no second chances. If you balked your car, that's really game over.
Well, and to the strategy, LFS was always to nose into the wall or back into the wall, because in LFS there is no air damage and no engine damage, at least from an impact. LFS has engine damage if you mismatch gears, have some double shift. It has clutch heating, but just impact doesn't wreck the engine.
No.
Suspension, but here all corners and the front and the rear, these cars can get damaged. The aero damage is simulated, so therefore any angle you hit on another car affects you, so you can't try and cheat the damage system.
So you've just seen on the stream there, that was Simon Grossman of Trinity Motorsports passing Tapani Luto of Glacier Racing. Both those drivers new in, fresh into their cars, I think. And that was a move for 11th position. Trinity Motorsports now up into 11th. Passing the sole Ford GT in this race. So how long have you been looking, you guys in the amateur have been looking to get the MOE brand over to iRacing? I guess it must have been since they announced the driver swap side of things.
At least then, I think it's been about a year. If that. Well, yeah, the first document to try and create it was created in August of 2011. It's been that long that iRacing said they were going to do the team system, the driver swap system.
Wow, I didn't know it'd been that long.
So it literally took 3 years just for them to implement.
So you had a lot of stuff ready to go, basically.
Basically, everything was ready to go except sim itself.
Yeah, I think the format does lend itself to iRacing a lot better because, the real cars, the real tracks, it has a certain spectacle to it. And iRacing has become a bit of a destination when it comes to, big esports teams.
But still, no daylight transitions as yet.
Yes, maybe another 3 years for that. But yeah, nonetheless, it's the arguably premier sim. So we're just going to be doing a bit of.
It's nothing really to concern yourselves with. I see aesthetics. We have heard your talks about the volume issues, so we're going to pause the video for a minute. But we will still be talking, and Passo, you've been a long time MOE commentator. Your comparisons between MOE of LFS and MOE of iRacing now.
Well, I think there was a certain comfort of MOE and LFS. There was a lot of familiarity. But in the end, you do what's best for your series, and this is an amazing lineup of drivers, a great sim, and some really some good prizes as well. And that's not something that was possible in LFS in the way in its present state that it's been in for many a year. So, I mean, having got used to the interface of iRacing and it's actually it's extremely good fun to commentate on, and the races are more dynamic, the physics are more interesting to observe, the cars are better looking. I'm having a whale of a time, to be honest.
Yeah, and the competition, at least evident from qualifying and from what I could hear of you all talking the race, is quite great at the top. I'm sure you remember Paso the 08-09 MOE season, which had that great battle throughout the season.
Just to interrupt you there is a battle for the lead now taking place, and Coanda and Lorenz Brookman has taken the lead as they went into the corner leading on to the straight. So that was turn 3, I believe, but Yakula is back on his tail again. But is he going to try and make a pass, or he's going to sit there? Currently, into turn 5, that Yakula is staying behind, so maybe he's allowing Brookman, who may have slightly better pace. I mean, looking at the lap times, you would say Brookman has had a better few laps pace-wise, so perhaps it is the right thing to do, just to let him, not to hold each other up and let him do his thing. But on the other hand, you don't want to let him get too far away, otherwise you won't have a chance to pass him later on.
Yeah, Ren's last lap 2:05.739. Alexei Yakula last lap 2:05.609. So slightly faster on the lap. All the previous laps all the laps before the overtake lap were in Renz Brookman's favor timing most of all. But as Renz is negotiating traffic just ahead of Alexei, this could also let Alexei catch back up.
Yeah, now, so there's going to be some lappery going on here, yes. Jens Brookman is making his way past Cal Racing and also the Iberica Racing team. Well, he's just going to get past that number 10 car in turn 1, whereas the red line car has not made it past either of them yet, but they are staying out of the way. They are being extremely accommodating to these two, which is nice to see. So Virgo Racing, who were in the provisional lead, have just pitted in their roof in the pit lane at the moment. So it'll be interesting to see where they come back out. But for the moment, it's Coanda leading Redline.
Could have a battle shaping up here between Trinity Motorsports R62 and the All-Star Racing Team 1, Car 3. Robert Bergnauer at the wheel of that. They're heading in they're in the early part of the laps. Yeah, they're still in the first sector.
Yeah,
Marcus Meyer in the Trinity Motorsports car.
Yeah, and on your screen, the car, the white Porsche, is the All-Star Racing. The white. I'm never going to get that. It's a roof, not a Porsche. Gotta be careful. The white roof is the All-Star Racing Team, and the car behind is in 19th. That's the Trinity Motorsports 3 BMW. With Marcus Meyer at the wheel.
Meyer's last lap at 2:06.884. Bergnauer's last lap at 2:07.169. About the same for the previous couple of laps. We're just after pit stops, about 10 laps earlier for Trinity. And side by side between Danilo Jacobs of the Iberica Racing Team and Jonas Nukarainen of Radicals Online side by side into turn 5.
So that Radicals car is the BMW that's just been passed for 12th position. And yes, Iberica now has 11th in the roof. In fact, I think they've maintained position. They're in the same position they were in. They were side by side going into turn 5, and they come out of that corner in the same order they came in. But yes, so the car in front is that roof of Iberica Racing, followed by the Radicals Online third team. That is car number 24. Into Carousel. Really, I love this corner. It's just such a, I don't know, the driver's just fighting their way through it. They lift off the throttle. They're probably quite frustrating to drive, but I enjoy watching them and see who will dare to stick their foot on the throttle first.
Yep, and then the kink. Then the fast tree line drone down to Canada Corner.
Seen of quite a few very scary incidents in this race so far, but none that have caused total mayhem. In fact, I don't think there's been a point in this race where I would classify there being mayhem, which is a nice thing to be able to say, I think.
Yeah, clean start, no massive incidents at turn 1. As they head through the final corner and up the hill. An incredible change in elevation as the BMW of Radicals Online into the slipstream and to the driver's right. Down the start-finish straight across the line to start another lap. BMW versus Porsche. Radicals on the right-hand side of track. In the BMW, and they'll have cleared on the way into turn 1.
It's a good move. Clean. And yes, I think they both gave each other enough respect there, and there was no chance of anything going on there. They did a good job. So that is up into 11th position now for the Radicals Online number 3 team, Jonas Nukarainen, passing Danilo Jacobs.
Again, first race for MOE since January 2012.
Indeed.
Which was the 24 hours of Aston Martin Grand Live for Speed. And then the last actual MOE season before that was the 2010-2011 season, which attempted that GT0 class, which only lasted for 2 rounds due to low participation numbers. Tried to make MOA a 3-class series.
No danger of low participation here, I don't think. 90 cars trying to qualify.
And the 60 that got into the show all within 1.8 seconds of each other.
And we're currently looking at the battle for position 23 between Brad Wotton of Direct Clutch Motorsports, that's car 83, and Antti Pihala of New World Sim Sport. That is roof followed by McLaren. That's the dark coloured roof followed by the on your stream currently white McLaren, but believe us, there is an actual livery on there somewhere. And behind him in 25th, Norby Kiss, a name that many
That's
recognise.
a familiar name.
Yes, exactly. In the Ryan Race Team.
Where have I
Yes.
heard of him?
All over the place. And Antti Pihala goes up the inside through turn 1. A clean move. They both came into that corner a little slow, and Brad Wotton doesn't fight too hard as he loses position 23. And now, yes, Norby Kiss, a driver who, yes, we know very well, and who I'm sure strikes fear into the hearts of many. He's now looking for that P24 on Wotton, and indeed he's going up the inside at turn 5 in his Orion Race Team McLaren and completes the move. A little bit of yes, a bit of a squirrely exit, a little bit enthusiastic on the loud pedal, but he got away with it. There's a bit of a battle here, actually, between car 84 and 62. That's the Hellenic Racing Team and the Trinity Motorsports Teams 3. They're both in blue BMWs. They're coming up the back straight towards turn 5 at the moment. Kind of confusing. The car ahead is the Trinity Motorsports car. The car behind is a Hellenic car, but they've both got black and blue BMWs with very similar colour schemes. At the wheel of each of those cars is Marcus Meyer in the Trinity and Christos Panoulas in the Hellenic car. And that's probably the closest battle on track at the moment between these two equally matched cars. A little bit of damage on the rear of the Hellenic car, but nothing too serious.
Do have side-by-side between cars 9 and 41. Andreas Nürnberger, the Pure Racing Team, McLaren MP4, going around the number 79. It's also McLaren, Jose Almeida in the Phoenix Motorsports car here in the middle part of the lap. So, looks like we have a battle for the final podium spot.
Indeed. You're currently looking at Andre Butcher in Coanda Sport. That's the second Coanda car, the McLaren, and ahead of him in the light green, but white and grey car, the Inex yellow machine, is William Levesque. He is in third. So yes, Butcher behind has caught him and is now reeling him in. Last lap, the Coanda car was about 0.4 of a second faster. So So you'd expect, if he wants to make a move, it might happen in the next lap or two. So we'll keep an eye on that. And you can see it on screen right now.
Quite a few teams with multiple cars entered. Trying to get as many of their drivers racing as possible.
Was that something you were debating about beforehand, or do you reckon that was you were always happy to have like 2 or 3 cars from any given team take part?
I don't think we quite expected so many entries.
But I guess the cream rises, so you've got to, if you want to get a high class field, you've got to let as many of the quality drivers in as possible, I suppose.
Had a question in the spectator chat in game. Who is the fastest guy on track right now? Our man with all the stats in front of him. He's got like 10,000 sheets of paper and 10,000 monitors. Car 11. The Con to Simsport number 11 car, Andre Betcher. One of the ones he threw out at first.
Yeah, he was fastest on the most recent lap. That's the car you're riding on board with, through the kink. I think we might be looking at a pass here as we head up to Canada Corner. No, he lifts off. No, he's not interested right now. He's not interested at all. He's happy to just sit behind and look at that grey-green, or grey and yellow, black BMW.
If he is faster, it's surely his choice of when he can make the overtake.
Yeah, if he feels it's to his advantage, I suppose he'll give it a go. And it looks like he might be going. Yes, he's going for it on the inside of turn 5. Brakes a little bit early though, but that still puts.
Oh, it took William off.
Yeah, it did put him off, and that's the thing we've seen a few times in this race: being able to put your nose in, but actually not commit to a path and still slow the other guy down. It's a really interesting tactic, and it clearly works really well. You can put people in all sorts of trouble just by pretending to make a pass, but no intention as yet from Butcher.
You have got to have nerves of steel if you're in one of the top positions in these big series like this. You want to try and focus on your race and not worry about what the guy behind you is doing as they head through the kink. And we saw last lap Butcher get a run into Canada Corner. He looks to be sitting back this time.
Yeah.
But
it doesn't seem to his favourite. It doesn't seem to be his favourite overtaking spot. It is a difficult one, unless you have a significant speed advantage. There really is no point in risking it because it's unlikely to work, and it's more likely you'll slow yourself down or even have an accident.
Yep. On to the pit straight again. I think if he knows he's fast, I wonder if he thinks he's gonna. I wonder if he's going to try to do something that, Michael Schumacher and several other drivers are well known for. Jump him at a pit stop. If they know that NX Racing pits before them, if that's one thing, or they think they can stretch it. Although 2 tires are faster, So you may not get the advantage of staying out longer on a stint. Traffic ahead, the white-black Mad Cow Racing BMW just ahead of Levesque. Also the black and yellow EB Racing silver car, Ricardo Ferrara driving that. Philip Jansen van Rensburg in the Mad Cow car just ahead of Levesque.
You can see on the sun visor of that car it says Daisy, so that's what the the cow and the car is obviously called. That's
Levesque held up a little bit through the carousel.
Yes, how dare he, I suppose. But he's just caught him in the wrong place, I think, there.
Although that's quite a good place to stop a move at, because you don't know if that guy's going to go wide, and Mad Cow car has no idea which side to go to.
Yeah, that was lucky. I think Butcher had that one under control. Just about. He decided he'd just hang back a little bit, but goodness gracious. So that has actually left Berkshire a little behind. He's fallen a few tenths behind now. Maybe won't be able to make a move if he even wants to make a move for a lap or so.
Very smart though of Levesque to not try and force the issue around the carousel, because all it would have taken is a mistake from the car he was lapping to wipe him out. You know, cause an incident there. You know, he's been at the control of our cameras all day. He's been getting a lot of things taken care of. He's the one that's hosting every single one of these sessions, so he is dumping hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dollars into the series, and he's going to join us for a little bit, because I know Passo's got to leave in about an hour or so. Mr. Phil Diaz, one of the masterminds behind the series. Long-time iRacer, I think since the very beginning of iRacing, Phil.
Yep, May 5th, 2008.
And they still don't listen to him when he says what they should do.
Yeah, well, no. I asked for driver swaps. Nah, they got driver swaps. Just need to fine-tune it now.
You and a million other people. So, Phil, your thoughts on the race so far? We're about 7.5 hours from the end.
It's been actually pretty close for the lead. Surprising, it's still only 1.6 seconds in between first and second. Team Redline, Coanda in the lead and Team Redline in second. Then we have another battle here for third. And they're only 14, 15 seconds behind the lead as well. So it's very competitive at the top. Throughout the field, I mean, you have Norby Kiss, which actually we can switch to now, who's in the Orion car, currently behind New World SimSport, both in McLarens. And all the way through the field, all one class. You know, we thought about doing multi-class, but you know, other series did that, so it kind of made us choose the hand of GT3, which popular, so we weren't really negative about it. We tried to embrace it.
Norby Kiss in the blue and black MP4, just behind the white skinless MP4. Because I think did you say earlier, Phil, why some skins aren't showing up?
Yeah, it's something to do with iRacing, which I guess is another request. I have to ask him. No, but it's just something where when there's more than 42 cars on the server, or on track, I should say, it simply only loads 42 of them. It doesn't load all the rest. I'm thinking because originally they only planned for 42 cars on any given track, but clearly that's changed over time with multiple tracks with 60 grid slots, for example, like this one at Road America. So I don't think they've upped that limit. Who knows? Maybe it's a server limit, a constraint that they have to go by. But it ends up with some white skins, and it happened to Team Redline earlier, but their skins come back and stuff. So I don't know. I wish I could not have that happen.
And trading paint's not yet working with team situations.
Yeah, having to do a large skin pack and everything. It's a lot of work. In-house broadcasting as well. It's a lot of work.
It's pretty mad. How you can have time to do it all it blows my mind, to be honest. I just turn up. I can turn up. You mean you all
We
three
use a
of you?
TARDIS passing.
Yeah, well, I imagine so. Like, I turn up in the morning with some bits of paper and a couple of computers, and I watch the race. So you guys have been beavering away for months of this. It's yeah, all for for the love of racing.
Yeah, for the past 2 weeks, it's been pretty hectic, and it's really just to get a proper, team series. And we have other big ones. RaceSpot did a 24-hour race last week. It was a great race for them. Mainly that 4GT battle was great, and then also Neo starting up. I think it's either next week or the week after, and that's also a big series as well. It's just you get the multi-class in Neo, for example, and you have the single class in MOE. It's a nice combination. It's good for drivers in iRacing, or teams in iRacing, I should say, that want to compete at a high level, or just in general in team racing. They can do it. Still have a battle, by the way, for
Yep.
P3.
Just went back to that myself in Andre Adventure in the Canada Sim Sport White and Blue MP4, chasing the BMW Z4 of NX Racing Yellow, which strangely has yellow-greenish accents on its beautiful livery.
I gotta ask, are you guys colorblind by any chance?
I was looking in the at a weird angle.
You're
No,
looking at a weird angle.
the
Yes.
Coanda car should be purple. I believe it is. And
It
yeah,
is.
that NX car is definitely yellow to represent its name.
What did you say? I
wasn't
wasn't listening.
Oh, he said blue for Coanda.
Okay.
And the yellow-green, I know
I
she
was.
said green as
I'm
well.
not necessarily colorblind. I'm just not necessarily that observant right now. It's only
alright.
been about a year since I've done the commentary, so my color reporting skills of vehicles, which I think
Yeah.
I'll just leave them passive from now on.
I think the whole being up since 5 a.m. is doing a workout as well.
Yeah. By the way, the ticker and other graphics you're seeing on the screen, I'd like to give some credit to Joe Littorello, who helped do the base design, and then Michael Booth for doing the tweaking and also coding in all the text and all such matters for all the viewing masses to see.
Yeah, I keep looking at it because we don't get to see that from our vantage point. But every now and then I look at the stream and I'm thinking, yep, this is good. This is how a sim racing broadcast should look. It's got all the information you could possibly want on it. It's a pretty awesome design.
Yeah, Joe actually put that together. He's like, "What do you guys have
In about
for
20 minutes.
Yeah, what do you guys have for overlays?" We're like, "Oh, we're working on it." And then he's like, "Oh, what about this?" And he made something in 20 minutes, send us a preview shot, and it was nice. So we had to go with that.
Yeah, he kept sending us preview shots. We told him what we liked and what we didn't like, and every 3 minutes, he just gave us a link.
Also, we have a battle for what's it, 12th position? Side by side, actually.
Yep, side by side, Radicals on line. Jerry Whittock, Radicals on line 2 in the rough. Dropping back to the MP4 Simon Trendle from Team Shimura.
Now that card number 54, that's the same one that Ben was driving earlier, right? Ben, I think it was testing or trusting? Testing.
Testing, yeah.
Yes. He drove through the pack. I mean, they're all the way up to the 12th position already. I remember when they were back in the 20s. So they've been.
Yeah, he had a
climbing pretty well.
really good. I think he doubled. I think did he double stint. I think he maybe did a single, whatever. But no, he had a really good run. We were always constantly looking at him because he passed a lot of guys quickly and cleanly. So yeah, that car is, and now being driven at a decent pace by Simon Trendle now as well. So yes, they could end up with a good top 10 position if they are able to catch a few more guys. Now, has there been a change for third place? The tracker says yes.
Yes, it looks
And
like...
William Levesque has gone into the pit lane for his stop. He was third for Inex Racing Yellow. Had to reverse up on his pit box. He actually a bit too far forward.
Yeah, it looks like they're doing a little bit different strategy than everybody else, pitting a little bit earlier. I mean, clearly that must be their plan. Same thing like the 2 car, for example, going long on their stints. Maybe, I think the 2's trying to cut a pit stop, or 2, I don't know. And also, maybe NX Yellow is trying to do 1 extra pit stop. I'm not quite sure.
We're currently watching second place man Alexei Yakula, who is making his way through some back markers. One of them went off into the gravel in avoidance, or maybe it was just a mistake. But he is some way behind now. He's a good couple of seconds behind the leader. I think he's had a worse time in traffic than the leader Renz Brooklyn has had in the Coanda Subsport number 18. For sure, because he's a fair way behind now.
Yeah, it looks like he's just been caught up in traffic a little bit. And, I mean, that's a lot. When you're caught up in traffic, I mean, sure, all the cars seem relatively close in pace, but if you get caught out 2 or 3 corners, I mean, that's possibly half a second to a second right there, especially if the cars in front of you are battling.
Yeah, but I think so far there's not been too many complaints, have there, in terms of actual official complaints to the stewards, have there? It's been fairly tidy.
Yeah, there hasn't been too many, but there's been a few. I believe Michael Booth he had to walk out for a little bit. He's back now. Should be able to look over those and make sure everything's okay.
He was dependent on the British rail system for an hour or so.
You wouldn't wish that on upon anyone, especially in Scotland. Whoa! Yakula just had a huge moment into the carousel. Not entirely sure what happened. Are his tyres going off, perhaps? Has he pushed too hard? Or was it just a slight lapse in concentration? But either way, yeah, there's proper drift going on through the carousel.
He kind of he tapped the brakes in the middle of the corner, which I think
like
was
an
right
unsettled the
before
car.
we started.
Yeah, possibly unsettled the car a little bit. Put too much weight on the front and the rear end. Decided to come around a little bit. Who knows? Good save though. Great save.
Yeah,
Had to
other
dance all
drivers
the way outside.
Yeah, other drivers who've made similar mistakes have gone off without any sort of chance of saving it. But yeah, he kept. It's not often you drift a GT3 car.
Car 10, Jonas Nukarainen having an off. I believe that was in the Canada corner area, or just beyond it. No, it was at the Canada corner.
Sure, that was car 10.
Position 10.
Car 24, position 10. There
Ah.
you go. That's what iRacing gets for putting the car number and position number right on top of each other.
He's entering the pits now. Front end damage for sure.
Yep,
That's tough for them. They've been running good all day.
power on a little too early, it looked like. Exiting Canada corner.
Yes, it did.
While on the ripple strip, and
cut
the inside wall.
Yeah, cut the inside a bit, and then that unsettled him for the exit, and yeah, into the wall he went. Yeah, it had been an 11th, so that's actually quite a big mistake that could cost them a top 10 finish.
We have a train of cars. A couple of the positions in here is like 18th, 19th, but it's just a train of lapped cars as well in between, or maybe cars that are a lap ahead as well.
Yes. Which car numbers are we looking at here?
Cars 27. He's trying to get to number 97, who's, I believe, in front of this train.
Yeah, so what you can see on the stream, you've got white Porsche, which is Kevin Vaughan, and the Velocidaddy Endurance team. And three cars ahead of him is Daniel Quaroni in the KRT Motorsport McLaren. That's also showing up as white. Just being passed by a Roof, which is actually in 9th. That's the Nils Koch Core Motorsports car number 33. That's got ahead. So now, in between those two other cars is Claude Belval in the 8480 car, which is car number 80, and that's P36. So yes, lots of action going on there, and behind them there's a few more as well. We've got Mike Pallock right at the back in the core racing entry, not the core motorsport entry, which is quite confusing actually. We should probably change that for next time. I keep getting mixed up. And then Sam Michaels in the R4R Motorsport in the BMW, and ahead of that Mikkel Rasmussen in the MW SS Scarlet team. Yeah, all mixed up.
Core Racing, Core Motorsport, they are two completely different teams. Core Racing from Lift for Speed, they actually won a GT2 championship in MOE. And then also Core Motorsport, who have some people who have raced in MOE and Lift for Speed before. And they just have the exact same name. Well, not the exact same. One is Motorsport, one is Racing, but it's incredibly close name.
Yeah. So I think on Alexandre Lacroix went off earlier in the lap in his Monster Energy car, P33. Didn't hit anything, but spun nonetheless.
This battle now for 18th positions, heating up. Kevin Vaughan's been able to get right behind Daniel KRT versus Velocidaddy. I believe it's Velocidaddy Endurance Team.
Good name. Yeah. Oh, Radicals on line 3 is now smoking. No, they weren't smoking when they came in before. I don't know if they're still in the same pit stop, but they've been... Oh no, they've been off again. Oh wow. Yeah, so Radicals on line 3 has had another incident. They were P14. Jonas Nikiranen, looking back, I'm sure something went wrong.
That looks like a wheel issue or CTD.
From looking at what we can see on our screens, it looks like he just went straight on into the wall while on a straight, going into turn 5. So I think he must have had a pop-up or something. That's a big shame. Now P17, but that's going to be a lot of repair.
Yeah, I don't think, especially if he's went hard into a wall. If his car is smoking, for example, I don't think he'll be able to finish the race. No way of really repairing an engine in iRacing. Here's the battle for position.
Two white cars side by side.
Yeah, apologies again for the white cars. Nothing much
Which
we can
numbers
do
are we
here.
looking at here?
27 and 97. 27 just took the position.
Yeah, that was Velocidaddy and Kevin Vaughan passing Daniel Quaroni. So we were seeing them earlier, they were bunched up in the pack. They finally come together, and Quaroni has lost that P17 to Vaughan in his Roof. And behind them is Sam Michaels, P35 in the R4R Motorsport BMW entry with the Golf livery. Very nice indeed, although a little bit of damage on it. A little bit, quite a lot actually. And he's trying to unlap himself.
Another car in this pack is Andre Butcher. Is it Butcher or Butcher? I'm butchering it.
Oh, Butcher.
Yeah.
Hey.
Butcher.
If anyone for Coanda is listening, why don't you tweet us or somehow message us the pronouncer?
Pronouncer?
It should have been there should have been a mandatory
or something that's in teleprompter or script
Yeah.
that tells you how to pronounce it. Passive.
Gotcha.
No, he's a nerd.
Nope. But for the next, I think the next race should be a requirement to submit a pronunciation guide to us morons. Because it might be amusing.
Hey.
Hey, I'm a Southern American. It's very hard to pronounce. Oh, Andre Butcher's around.
Oh, we absolutely
that's
did.
a
Oh,
big
goodness
off.
gracious me.
After
Oh,
he's hit.
He's clipped another car there.
He collected. Baval of 88 or 80.
Yep, that was Klobuchar. Yeah, indeed. Wow. Luckily, there were not many more cars involved with that, but that's still a big incident for Baval, who was P36. Wondered if he'll have to pit with that. There's some damage in the rear.
Yeah, that could have been race ending for sure. I'm surprising he only got front end damage for that.
That was.
Yep.
Oh, he's gone off. He's gone off at Bill
this
Mitchell.
one's
Oh
bad.
no!
Oh,
He
that's
flipped
a flip! That's a flip!
Oh no! That's race over. He's upside
Oh,
down.
right in the
That
middle of
is
the track.
surely
He's
he didn't clear off the track.
he's cleared off.
He's off.
Cleared off just in time.
That is a disaster. And he was P3. He
Yeah,
was P3, and that is. Well,
I think he got some damage. Oh no, he
Yeah.
got damage to the front of his
No,
car.
that
I
last
don't
one,
really know.
He ran wide in that second last corner there and just slid off and really just bounced. It's kind of like an LFS barrier.
yeah, that was really quite unlucky, to be honest. It was, you wouldn't expect to roll after something like that. So the initial incident, the car went all floaty through the kink. He spun about 3 times, just collected Baval. Luckily, no one else got involved. And then, yeah, he continued going, and then lost it in almost exactly the same way through Bill Mitchell, the second last corner, and then ended upside down.
I wonder if he started to understeer due to all the cars ahead. Get that arrow push.
Yeah, I mean, that's what it kind of
And-
looks like. But
And it looks like he tried to tap the brakes or something, and the back end just stepped right out on low.
either way, that was. Well, I mean, they were looking at a proper good podium position there. And who's pulling that in ahead of them? Now, Anthony Munitz has come through the pit lane with damage and come out again. That's the 96 car, KRT Motorsport.
Yeah, there's gonna be a lot of work to do with this car, and I don't even know if it's gonna be completely repairable in order to drive.
And even though he's shown in a pit box, he could still be waiting on the tow process to complete.
That's true as well.
He has left the car.
We actually, well, it never ceases to amaze me years of doing this. Put it on a battle, and as soon as you put it on a battle, one of the cars pits. It was a battle for 35th and 36th position.
Yeah, there
36th.
are, in the top end of the field, there aren't too many close battles at the moment. I think, well, the closest battle was that battle for P3, and, well, what happened, where that ended up. So back in P3 is now the Radicals team with Mac Backham, although pit stops are starting, so we'll have to wait for a little while for it all to even itself out.
It looks like the 80 car, because it was the 80 car who got in contact with Coanda when they were spinning. It looks like they have slight right rear damage, but I don't think it's affecting, maybe just a tad bit in the straight line.
Yeah, he got really lucky actually. It was actually, considering where it was on the track and the type of incident it was actually a relatively light touch. He was able to he didn't spin as a result, he just sort of had a slide and then kept going. So it looks like he's got away with that.
Yeah, as long as there's no suspension damage, I believe he should be okay.
Penalty for Pure Racing Team number 3, car 59, Philip Geis, their BMW Z4. Avoidable contact with car 53, which was turn 1 about 4 hours into the race, lap 106.
Well, don't ask me to remember that one. It might not have been shown on the stream.
I didn't have to remember it. I looked at the protest.
Yes, indeed. So 59 team are currently in find them on the list.
Now, the current car on stream, the BMW, has a beautiful face on the side of the car. Probably one of the more interesting paints of the day.
I'm just having a look at that. Which number is that?
Number 30. currently in a battle with number 4, R4R. However, I think R4R has already overtook them, or possibly just exited the pits. Because Sam Michaels seems to be pulling away at a rapid rate here. But for people who don't normally race GT3 cars, tires seem to fall off quite a bit through a stint.
Not literally.
28 lap stints, roughly 55 minutes, I believe. They're falling off a good second and a half across the stint, I believe, roughly. Possibly more than that. So, it's almost better to short pit sometimes and gain time that way. But obviously, a 12-hour race, you want to do the least amount of pit stops as possible as well.
Yeah. When the gaps are only, well, you're only like 10 or so seconds behind the car in front on one less pit stop. Could be several positions, 5 or 6 positions over the course of the race.
Yeah, I think that the 2 car currently, I mean, he's Virgil Racing. They're in, I believe, 8th positions, a car pit ahead of them. They're in 8th position, but they're doing, I believe, one less pit stop than the rest of the field, which is interesting. So, they're losing a little bit pace, staying out so long, but at the same time, they're going to get it all back, or at least some of it back, when they, do one less pit stop.
Yeah, but we just won't know until right at the end, and then that'll be the only time where everyone is going to be equal is in the last half hour of the race, and that's the only time we'll know exactly what's going on. But we can be fairly sure that the current leading drivers are probably going to be there somewhere. And Rens Brookman, that car 18, is now some way ahead of the second place car, 4.2 seconds. That's probably the biggest gap it's been in the race between Coanda and Team Redline. Redline have led more laps, but it doesn't matter who's led the most laps, it's who's leading on the last lap. And Brookman got the pace for this stint. He's about maybe half a second faster than Yakola.
Yeah, I believe Alexi's on his 3rd continuous stint here, and Rens just got in, so he's a little bit fresher. I don't know if that has anything to do with it or not. Rens has been doing great pace, so it's interesting because before we saw Coanda slide back because of Klaus going off track. However, he clawed his way back, and then when they gave Rens the car, now suddenly they're pulling a lead. Not something that we've seen in this race yet. Until now, that is.
Indeed.
A little battle to show here, the 55 and the 97, but looks like Anti's already completed that pass.
Yeah, that's Anti Pilaha of New World Sim Sport. Takes P17 from Daniel Coroni of KRT, the car 97. That's the white McLaren versus the white, blue and black McLaren ahead. And behind them is Alexandre Lacroix, Monster Energy, although he's P35, so he's not actually involved in this battle.
Yeah, he's actually trying to catch the car that the car that's directly in front of both of them. So it's a little confusing.
Yeah, that car has the car Sergio Alvarez of Demigrant Drivers has all sorts of memes all over it. It's quite something.
yeah, them and Gotta Go Fast Motorsports, they need to team up.
Yes, it is. And I'm pretty sure there's a Nyan Cat car in this race somewhere. I've not seen it for a while, but there was
a 27 or the 28, I believe is who you're looking for. Currently they're a white car, and that's why we don't see it.
Yes, that's probably why I've not seen it for a while.
Yeah, speaking of that battle,
looks like it's about to happen because he got out of the way. Like Alvarez got so much out of the way, he ended up letting through his closest rival. So Lacroix with Monster Energy takes position 33 away from the Demigrant Drivers. Bit of he's got the Ken Block style livery with Hoonigan written on the back, but there's not been much hooniganing around. Hooniganing? No, hooning. There we go. Not much. Whatever. Not be too much of that anyway.
Yeah, there's actually the car directly behind Sergio demigod drivers
Oh, yeah.
is Ricardo. I mean, that's also battle for position.
Yeah, Ricardo Ferreira of AB Racing, the silver entry. That is car number 12, BMW. And yes, that's P35. So will Sergio Alvarez lose another place, or is he going to try and defend this one a little harder than the other in his previous attempts?
I think now that he actually knows that is for position.
Yeah.
I don't think he knew the other one was. I think he was just, letting the other ones by. Saw the blue flag was being nice, and then, just got called out by it.
I wonder how his car's feeling, because it does look a little bit rough around the edges from what it is.
Yeah, it looks like the rear of the car might be a little. I don't know. Looks like he got a little bump.
But Ferreira passes him going into Canada corner. Gets the braking done perfectly. Alvarez being very conservative. I think he's just getting through his stint and not trying to do anything too daring. I mean, 33rd position is a fair amount of points, and there's a field of 60 cars, and each one of them scores. So that could make a difference come the end of the season.
Yeah, I'm actually glad to see a lot of people patient like that. It's tough to see. If it wasn't an endurance race, you certainly wouldn't see that. But it's nice to see that people actually embrace team racing, because it hasn't been here in iRacing. So going into the series, you're kind of skeptical about people if they're all going to crash in turn 1 or not. Thankfully, we didn't have a big crash in turn 1. So glad to see people cooperating with each other and being a little patient.
Yep.
It's a long race. We're not even halfway yet. So.
So, looks to me like car 59 has not responded to the drive-through penalty. And I believe in my counting it has been at least 3 times past the start-finish line. Got a three times across start-finish limit to serve a penalty.
Yeah, iRacing doesn't have actual a drive-through penalty itself that you can just call out. So might have not seen it actually.
Yeah, and there was a notice given in the spectator chat, private message to the team, private message to the extra team members.
Oh, well done. I think they would know.
Michael Booth, currently the race director chair, is very let's say picky about annoying people with these messages when they infract the rules.
Yeah, we don't want drivers getting bothered by chatter and anything like that in server per se. So when drivers get into their car, everything can be completely muted. However, your team members need to respond, and they also need to tell your driver, hey, you have a penalty, you need to do a drive-through. However, if that driver has somehow blocked all of his messages, he probably can't even see his team talking, which is probably a bug and shouldn't necessarily be fixed. So, not really sure.
And they are into the pit lane now.
Oh, maybe they're listening to the broadcast then.
That could be. So the number 59 car is slowly trundling through the pit lane.
Yeah, currently have a battle up. Trinity Motorsports in the number 60 car versus Iberica, and then number 10, BMW versus Roof. Not really one gaining on the other necessarily. It's kind of been pretty stable so far. Something that we've seen almost all race between everyone. So, I think Iberica actually might be pulling away here. Different pit strategy. I believe they're pitting a little bit earlier. So, that may also help.
Car 60 also had an left car to sneak around.
Yeah, simple thing there. You could see where Patrick for Trinity Motorsports got held up just a little bit, probably 3 to 4 tenths actually, just in turn 2. Just not because the lapper blocked or necessarily anything like that. It's just the fact of you're behind a car, you're going to go slower. Very simple, really. Also, just a heads up that Rins Broekman for Coanda and Team Redline have pit. Team Redline actually doing a driver swap. They had Alexei UC Yakula, I say Yakula, who got out of the car, and Christian, Simchek, I believe, has got into the car now. Still about 4.5 seconds, the gap in between. However, we are going to switch to a battle here. PJ Sturgis for NX Racing Red. You saw that as well?
I just got to it as you started talking about it.
Yeah, PJ actually was a second faster last lap. I'm guessing possibly new tires. All over the back of Core Motorsports currently.
If Core Motorsports Nils Koch. In the roof. Into the kink, Sturgis. Ezra has to lift off right up against the back bumper. Taking a look to the right-hand side inside the track, heading towards Canada Corner. Will he try to lunge forward? Yes, he does. To the right side, hits the apex, and Sturgis up into 6th.
Yeah, something PJ's not afraid of is getting close to a driver, as you saw through the kink there. NASCAR roots, and he likes to NASCAR a lot. Him and his brother.
Coanda Sport number 11 car still sitting in the pits. They may have just given up on the race.
Yeah.
Or they're sitting and waiting for a long.
Yeah, I've seen repairs. I've seen repairs go up to 30 minutes in iRacing before. I believe like 33, 34 minutes. So who knows if it's that.
No one's sitting in the car, so. If I remember right, the process is, like the pit stop still continues even if there's no one sat in the car.
Correct. They're repairing everything works, even if a driver's not in the car. It doesn't necessarily happen faster or slower, it just happens. Ride on board Patrick here for Trinity Motorsports as he follows Iberica. He caught back up with him again, so let's see if he can actually do something this time, especially with lap traffic just ahead of him. This must be a good time for battles on track, as for 8th position we have Pure Racing Team 1 versus Team Chimera 2. Both McLarens here.
Yep. Which I believe is what we're watching on stream right now.
Yeah, it's on board the number 7 car currently.
Yeah, 7 car is Pure Racing Team 1. Yeah, behind that Team Chimera 54 of Simon Trendle. They go through Bill Mitchell, who's claimed any victims today. It's a deceptively easy corner, but it seems to catch a few people out.
Valentini in the slipstream up the hill across the start finish line of Simon Trentel. Takes a peek out to the right hand side, heading down towards turn 1. Side by side into turn 1. Trinity Motors, or Pure Racing Team, excuse me. Not quite completing the move, has the inside for turn 3 here. And Team Chimera 54 yields the position.
Now I think it might be Chimera, but it might need an official pronunciation. But it doesn't matter right now because he's trying to go for a gap that diminished immediately. Got a little bit late there from Pure Racing's driver, Valentini.
Yeah,
turn 5.
Also have to add in that straight isn't necessarily straight, so...
No, there's nothing about this track that's straight. Even the straights aren't straight.
Yeah.
They're just slightly less bendy bits.
Yes, I think that's probably the right thing. But that's why you end up going from turn 1 to turn 3 without even realising it. And then you go from turn 3 to turn 5.
They consider those little kinks in turn for some strange American reason.
I think it's definitely an American thing, for sure. We wouldn't have that in the UK.
I blame Wisconsin.
By the way,
the state that the track's in, of course, pass it, I'm not sure.
Got it.
I was trying to look up before the race why it's called Canada Corner.
I figured it was some kind of brand, but I don't know.
I thought it was because it was the most northern part of the track closest to Canada.
Well, some people said that, but then there's also a story that goes that the track owner had a bunch of kids or whatever cleaning up the spectator area just outside of Canada, what is now known as Canada Corner, and as the legend goes, a bunch of Canadian empty beer cans were found. As in lots and lots of empty Canadian beer cans, as Trundle brings the Chimera car into the pit lane that we were just watching that battle for.
Now switching to Vortex Sim Racing, who's currently looks like they're chasing down New World Sim Sport. Their second car, that is.
I like that story. I kind of believe that as well. That does sound like something that would happen.
Maybe I should call the Road America. Maybe I should have called the Road America track and gotten the official story.
Yeah.
We've been way too early for that.
Yeah. See, and there's why do you want to know? It's like, yeah, I'm not to call this 12-hour race on a game. Oh, I'm sorry. Sim.
Well, you'd have to say simulated him, and then he would reply with game. But yeah,
yes.
that's what would happen. But you see here, battle for 13th position. 2 McLarens once again.
The Vortex car, or the second car in the M2 car pair, both white and colorful.
White and colourful. Wow. Okay.
White, red, and black versus white, blue, and black.
I was trying to decide how to define.
And then you gave up.
The patterns, yes.
Blue accents versus red accents.
So to explain that further,
well, no, the thing I was
struck
by was how similar their schemes are.
Oh, it doesn't matter. You're going in the pits anyway. Forget it. But anyway, that was Anti-Piaha in the
Sorry,
blue
it's been a long day.
and white and black New World Sim Sport car, peeling into the pit lane as the Vortex car of Joel Guez continued on.
Yeah, going back up to the battle that was for 9th position between car 60 and car 10. Looks like car 60, Patrick was actually able to get by Iberica. I believe that's, I don't want to say it, but I'm going to say it's Pure Racing. I can actually tell you, sorry. Trinity Motorsports.
Yeah, Trinity,
sorry,
yeah.
Pure Racing, sorry, Trinity. Trinity Motorsports with Patrick driving. And as you can see, I avoid the other parts of his name simply because I'm scared to announce them.
Yeah, it's probably a low-risk strategy. Yeah, it's pretty much the closest pairing of cars on track at the moment, as far as positions go.
Yeah, it seems others are 2 to 3 seconds off. Another one's about 1.8 seconds off. I have a huge list next to my on my other screen that has all the positions and the live times and everything. So it gets a little crowded. We also have a bit on live timing for anyone who's noticed. If two cars are within, I believe, 3 seconds of each other roughly, then the interval will actually turn yellow. That's why you see some are yellow, some are not. Supposed to signify
it's a
a little
great
battle on
feature.
track. Yeah, that's actually a lot of that. A lot of that is actually Michael Booth. A lot of styling there. Most of the styling actually, because IRTVO had a falling out, let's just say, when this new build came out, team racing and everything came about. IRTVO was confused because it's only done drivers before, just single driver cars. So having to do actual team racing was a bit of a stretch. Lots of recoding had to be done. I was doing it myself, and also Nick Thiessen? Hope I didn't butcher your name. Also came about with another solution, and that's actually part of what we're using as well. It allows it to where when a new driver gets in the car, it re-grabs the driver list, which is nice. So you can actually see the updated drivers on live timing and on the broadcast overlays.
Okay. Yeah, it seems like there's a lot of work in the background to make MOE work with all these different crazy tools.
Yeah, it's coding for IRTVO, then graphics for overlays. It's been a lot of work actually, and then also keeping track of qualifying and everything else that's been going on.
So these two cars here, the BMW in front, it's still the Trinity Motorsports car of Patrick Speare, car 60 P9, and Daniel Jacobs of the America Racing Team, with the Sennheiser and Thrustmaster branding on it. Very good looking roof bag. I think it's one of my favourite looking cars out there at the moment. He was passed for that P9, but he hasn't fallen away from his rival driver in the Trinity Motorsports car. So, and he looks like he might even be, he might have an opportunity to get past him if he fancies it, coming down to turn 5. He doesn't fancy it though, because he's lifting off the throttle, so he's obviously saving fuel, or just happy to sit in 10th, because 10th would be a pretty good position come the end of this race.
Yeah, top 10 in this. I'm really surprised by all the different drivers and teams that's taken part. Very nice to see. Wish Glacier actually wasn't in a Ford GT. I know that's terrible to say for any Ford fans out there, but I wish they weren't in a Ford GT, because I'd really like to see them. I know they'd be competing for top 5 finishes race after race, so it'd have been really nice to see them up there. But there's also a build coming out after round 2, so who knows,
so they might have invested in the future.
Yeah, who knows, the Ford might be the car of choice. I don't think it would be that extreme, but maybe they'll actually be able to qualify and compete in that top 10 on a more regular basis.
Does the prospect of a new build send fear into your heart, like if it messes up all the balance?
Yes and no. This first race was a bit different. We didn't want to try to interrupt any other series that is going on, so we kind of had to jump in 2 weeks basically after the build came out as this first race. So we had to worry about balancing, worry about IRTVO, worry about qualifying and all the different formats that we have, and also the gridding procedure, which almost ended up terrible today because of engines blowing in qualifying.
Yeah, that was awesome.
But thankfully everything went okay with that. But next time after round 2 we have another 2 to 3 weeks, and nothing's going to break as far as like IRTVO, at least I don't believe, because team racing's here now, so that'll be okay. And it'll just be stuff like balancing, which who knows how that's going to go. Nobody knows but iRacing. and you know, we'll see how that goes when that time arrives. But if, for example, you know, a car has way too long stints, for example, for fuel or something like that, we could technically dial that back. Or, you know, if a car is way too fast, just in general, we can, you know, add some weight to it. We've done that with the BMW, for example, and well, it's still leading the race.
Yeah, but those McLarens and Riffs aren't too far behind. Yeah, it's good. It's good. It's a good mix. It's definitely a good mix. You know, there's an even relative. I mean, yeah, BMWs do seem to have the majority of the top 10 positions, but those McLarens and Riffs could easily be up there. And, you know, yeah, it's looking very good. And,
I broke off.
Yeah, Daniel Jacobs made a big mistake on the outside of the kink, and he has been. I don't think he's been passed. I think he's just been unlapped. Someone else has unlapped themselves. But yeah, that was I think he just kept his foot in and hoped for the best. As long as you don't angle your steering too much when you do that, you generally can get away with it. So long as there's no other cars nearby.
His hands were very busy inside the car there, trying to save that. There's a huge bump as well off the track that you have to watch out for when going off there, and it can really unsettle the car. As long as you don't have your wheel input too strongly in one direction, you should be okay. Also got a battle on track for the 23rd position between the number 97 and the number 83. Direct Clutch Motorsport versus KRT Motorsport 2.
Yeah, there they are. The car at the front with that battle, yep, is the KRT car with Daniel Coroni at the wheel. He's had a few battles in this stint. He's mostly just let them go, but who knows what will happen with him and Brad Whitten of Direct Clutch Motorsports in the roof. And they go on to the main straight now, and we're expecting a bit of slipstreaming action. And is Brad going to keep the foot in the throttle? Yep, shifts up to top gear. Up the inside. Will he have completed the move before he gets to the turn? They brake evenly. And Brad Whitten takes that 23rd place away from Daniel Coroni. Direct Clutch into 23rd.
That was nice, just simple classic move there. Overtaking turn 1 from the draft.
No fuss, just, clean. That's all we ask.
Speaking of which, we actually have another possible battle now, I'm not sure, between number 75 and number 55 on track. I think possibly the 75's already overtook him. Not quite sure.
So yeah, we're currently looking. So I take it you're looking at the New World Sim
exactly.
Joe Tremblay, who is behind Hugo Barbosa of AB Racing Black. Their last laps, how are they doing? Well, they're in 20th and 19th respectively. And it looks like there may have been a pass on the previous lap, because the roof of the AB Racing car has been faster.
Yeah, I definitely believe an overtake has been done. However, that roof is looking a little squirrely right now. Getting a couple tires off track every now and then.
Yeah, it's not over yet. He hasn't broken away.
Exactly.
Tremblay could get it back on this straight.
Something to note about these cars as well is, for example, you said BMW has covered a lot of the grid. It has. It's a good 50 or 60% of the grid is BMWs alone. That's simply because the general consensus, I guess you could say, is that the BMWs, it's an easier to drive car. It's a little hurtful in the top speed. It's also a little weak in low speed grip, but just the amount of downforce it has through the corners, especially corners like the carousel or the kink, it gains a lot of time there. Cars like the McLaren, for example, over the course of the stint, you can have the front tires simply die off from tire wear, but also that can cause snap oversteer and stuff like that from either putting in too much wheel input or simply the tires wearing, and that has the rear of the car just step out, much like we saw Team Redline with the Alexi and the carousel.
Okay, so that's part of the, you could be faster, but you're a higher risk strategy, which is, I guess that's the way it's a nice way to balance the sim out, I suppose. You know, you go for the easier choice, but perhaps if someone else can master the harder choice, it'll be they have the advantage, which I like. I quite like that. It's sort of like it's kind of like it's like an RPG or something, like a game where everything has its different quirks and perks.
Yeah, it's just the real, well, I guess you could say real world characteristics of the cars, showing, because the BMW, it's easier to drive, but it's also a really balanced car. So it's really good on the long run. So you see the McLaren and the Roos, for example, do amazing qualifying times, and then you see the BMW suddenly show its pace in the race, and that's clearly, race is what pays points. Obviously, you don't have the McLarens do extremely bad. Team Redline's in second. About 8.7 seconds actually now off of Coanda Simsport. They're in the lead.
Yeah, I'm interested to see who who the next set of drivers is going to be and how their relative pace is, because so far before that they've been fairly equal, and I'd say that Redline had the edge in terms of pace. But yeah, this stint in particular, Redline, Coanda have had the big advantage.
I think it's. I'm not really sure. I know that you have someone, for example, Team Redline. You have someone like Enzo, who is a very strong McLaren driver. Most of his time in GT3 is in the McLaren. Alexi, personally, I haven't seen him that much race the GT3 cars. And Christian also is a heavy GT3 driver, but I normally see him personally in the BMW. So everyone has their different strengths of which car they like.
Here comes Jordan Blake up the inside of turn 5, brakes late, just gets it stopped in time. There's Hugo Barbosa in the Porsche, in the roof. I'm never going to get used to that. As they go into turn 6, he sort of nearly accelerated back into the rear of that McLaren, but yes, the McLaren gets back ahead. So if there had been an overtake before, he's decided that he actually fancies that 19th place, that 18th place again. So yeah, good stuff. It was an interesting move.
Yeah, another thing is that Tusk, which is something that ALMS and Grand Am, they joined together. It's basically the United States Sports Car Series, really is what it should be called, but it's not that. Christian, I want to say Simchek, I'm not exactly sure, but he actually competed in that series. Not 100% sure of what car and stuff he drove, but I know he did compete in that series at this track, actually, at Road America. So it's probably a nice feeling for him to have real world endurance racing and then also sim racing, endurance racing put together at the same track.
Yeah, it does a lot about the sim as well. That someone who drove in the real world is then coming over here into the sim racing world and doing a good job as well. It's really, I really like that. That's the great thing about iRacing. It's you get a lot of very good, some high profile users, people who really are, even like top end drivers and even amateur drivers and semi pros. They all seem to be here.
Yeah, got a battle for position number 27. Velocidade Endurance Team versus number 63 Orion Race Team. Speaking of rear-wheel drivers, Norby Kiss and the Orion car.
Indeed, yeah. In fact, Matt Polewski in that Velocidade car, the white roof, going into turn 5, he was looking like he was going to try and get ahead of Norby Kiss in that Orion McLaren, but he just put on the brakes partway down the straight as Norby Kiss slides that car into turn 6. I've seen him do that a few times actually. I don't know if it's his style of driving. He tends to throw the car through the middle of the corner, and it's quite tight, but it looks a bit unstable to me. But that's obviously his way of doing things.
Didn't he race the big trucks, Euro trucks, and I don't know if it was Hungary or where exactly he was racing that at? Maybe he had to throw those in. That just got into his driving technique.
Yeah, that would leave a lasting impression, I think. But yeah, you don't want to do it through the kink. No, he didn't throw it through the kink. Fine, he's not crazy.
Okay, Norby's actually from Masters of Endurance and Live for Speed as well.
Yeah.
Very many seasons in that, which is funny because I believe Live for Speed, they had a Hungarian tournament. He won that, and that's how his real racing career actually started. Not 100%
Okay.
sure on that. But it was something like that, I believe. Whoa!
Oh, what happened there? Did you just get a wheel off on the grass?
It looks like, I'm not sure. Could be
Let's go
one of
back
those
and have a look.
situations where, you know, you're getting on the brakes, the rear end got light, and instead of possibly spinning, he simply just, you know, let it go out straight.
Yeah, looks like what he did. Yeah, he had a bit of understeer, and just instead of putting the brakes on and going off, and going off straight, he decided to go off, but to come back on again.
Yeah,
Yes, it was
that
a-
car that he just repassed there was actually for position. Oh, and then had a slide on the exit.
Wow. I don't know how you managed that. You go off at the previous corner and then pass someone anyway.
Yeah.
So that's Robert Bergnauer of the All-Star Racing Team 1 entry in the white roof with the red wheels. Although he's not got away from him.
The McLaren's probably the quickest in a straight line. You'll probably see that mainly on the front straightaway. This, I guess you can call it back straightaway here, is a lot of uphill. And it seems like the roof and the BMW have a little bit of an advantage through gearing for the uphill. Not quite sure why, but it seems to be the case.
Novicus actually lost out there through turn 5. Ran a bit wide and he lost that position. He's feeling the tyres are feeling the strain because he's certainly had a few wild moments over the last couple of laps.
Yeah, the tires seem very sensitive to heat buildup, so if you slide the car at all...
Ooh! And
Or
off
just-
goes Bergnauer, who just repassed Novicus and then goes off at the entry of the carousel, spins his way through the middle, and is going back on to the track and crosses the track, and luckily doesn't get hit by anyone, and he's back off.
It's a quite dangerous way of doing it. I'm guessing he checked F3. Just guessing. Hoping
Yeah.
he did at least.
One would hope so. Maybe he had a
Eh.
spotter or something.
Yeah.
He got away with it anyway. You know, just to make sure he doesn't upset his rhythm for the rest of the race, or the rest of his stint, because it's easy to do.
Something to note here that... Oh, actually, this is because of Cohen to SimSports, the McLaren, going off earlier. Radicals, well, who are pitting now actually, but the Radicals #1 car actually made their way all the way up to the 4th position. I believe they were just ahead of NX Racing Red. They are. PJ currently at the wheel of that. Anthony Roselli behind the wheel of the Radicals #1 car. It seems a lot of teams just quietly moving their way up through the top 10.
Yeah, they've been there or thereabouts. But yeah, they've not had too much crazy action, at least in what we've seen. But they've kept themselves out of trouble, which is probably all I haven't seen too much. Well, with 6 hours and a half to go, I am going to bid you... Oh, we've got someone off before I bid myself farewell. Oh yes, who's that? That is... Car 14, is that?
Car 58. AB
58.
Racing.
Ricardo Castroledo having it off at the final corner, which is interesting in and of itself. He's howling in that car.
Yeah, he should
Yes.
definitely pit that car, and he is. It looked like he had a snap oversteer moment going into the final corner, which it's a curved braking zone, so cars tend to get a little out of control.
Yeah, he
There.
wiped his car up against the tyre at quite high speed.
Yes. Impact, huge impact.
So that cars definitely need to have a proper repairing. Hopefully,
By the way, yes, he did just drive through those cars.
yes. We're not gonna note that one, but yeah, I don't think the suspension's gonna be completely fixed on that. But who knows? Maybe they'll be able to finish with a half-working car.
All I'm going to say about the being able to drive through cars in pit lane is iRacing apparently doesn't trust its drivers to be intelligent enough to drive through. And seeing as iRacing kind of started as an oil-based thing. Makes
Well,
sense.
Yeah, they had it in NR 2003, and it seemed to be somewhat okay, but also caused problems. In all honesty, it's just easier if you can just go through a car if you're in the pit stall. Also, you see Wyatt Gooden here. He just took over for the number 1 Radicals car that we were talking about earlier. After his pit stop, came out 6th. Still a strong run for them.
Right, good, another familiar name for Lift Speed fans of old.
Yep. Also,
The Mercury
I don't
Racing.
know. Yes, he was in Mercury Racing. Then now he's been in Radicals for quite a few years now, I believe. And I think he still does real life racing as well. He won the, I don't know if you remember this, but they had the Jetta Challenge type thing and iRacing. And Wyatt Gooden was actually the person who won that. So he got to race in the real Jetta series because of it.
Oh, I love the Jetta. Such a weird car, but so much fun.
Such
Yeah,
a
it's-
slow car. Oh wait,
it's-
that's when I'm driving it.
It's front wheel drive, so maybe those BTCC lovers like it. I can't do it.
I think the BTCC lovers now love the Kia, and that's why we've got the British touring car style championship going on from I think BSR are running it.
Yeah, there's
Got
a
their own.
series.
Yeah,
There's a series in iRacing that run it, and they get a lot of cars every race.
yeah. It's a ridiculous grid. Run by BSR, mostly a lot of British drivers, but also a lot of international guys as well. All running with a lot of them are running with accurate liveries from this year. But anyway, yes, I must bid you all farewell. So I'll leave you in the capable hands of Jonathan Palmer and Phil
You're
Diaz.
gonna be getting drunk, having a party life.
I am actually going to be playing poker, which is, well, I expect to be a lot richer by the time I return.
Texas Hold'em.
Drinks on me.
Yeah.
I assume so.
Okay.
You gonna donate to MLE prize fund?
I've donated my time, and that's all that's required.
That's all I asked for.
That'll
Don't
be
listen
fine.
to this. Don't listen to
We
this
will
Jonathan
see
Palmer
you
guy.
in Suzuka.
Yes, indeed. I will be keeping an eye on the Twitters and see what's going on here. But yes, I will be back for Suzuka. Thank you very much for having me.
Yep.
Have a good one.
And see you, Paso. And once again, that next round is on Saturday, December 6th, 2014. 1,000 kilometers of Suzuka. Race starting at 16 UTC. Right here on simrace.tv.
Also, for the people who might try and calculate how long that will be, that's roughly 100. It's about 173 laps, and we think it's going to be around 5 hours, 45 minutes, possibly 6 hours, something like that, which goes along with our normal 6-hour endurance races.
And then after Suzuka, we travel to the land of the Belgian waffles for the 24 hours of Spa-Francorchamps on January 10th and 11th, 2015. And then January 31st, 6 hours of Circuit of the Americas, and ending the season on February 21st with the 6 hours of Bathurst. Emily usually would run 6 rounds in a year, but this year we're doing 5 of them. Emily has always started with a 12-hour race and had a 24-hour race in January.
Yeah,
So
we cut it down to
largely
5. We cut it down to 5 simply because we didn't want. Well, we're starting a month later than normal, and then also the Drivers' World Championship in iRacing starts around February to March, so we didn't want to, get in the way of that. It looks like a lot of drivers are competing in this series that also race in the Drivers' World Championship, so we didn't necessarily want them to be in a compromise. Also, a battle for position here, Radicals. Wyatt Gooden trying to pass around the outside. Looks like he got it done.
Taking advantage of the wide curves on the exit of Canada Corner.
Yep. Also, a team that, well, we know all the teams normally, the top 5 for sure. But Pure Racing, not a hugely well-known team, I guess you could say. However, they're competing extremely well. Qualified, both their cars, I believe, were pretty high up. Currently have one car in the top 10. Number 7 car here. Sorry, they have 3 teams. But they qualified well, and so far they've been quietly within the top 10, doing a very nice job.
Also not too far up the track from Wyatt Gooden. Battle for 9th. Slowly forming between Joel Guez of Vortex Sim Racing number 20. And also James Eads of Team Chimera.
I'm just going to say Chimera. Yeah, like a K.
Chimera.
Almost.
Okay. So Chimera in the white and gray car. On your stream. Forgive it, that noise that you may have heard. Had a couple feline intruders in my particular.
Was that a... That sounds like an animal.
Yes,
definitely
that was.
That doesn't sound like a cat. Like a normal cat.
They're play fighting their winner.
Holy cow. You having cat fights in your room?
Not the kind I'm thinking you're thinking.
I was going to say, watch how you answer that. No, but it looks like James Yates possibly dropping off here.
Probably one of those things where it was a battle until we looked at it.
Yeah, I noticed there was something going on, but we were trying to watch Wyatt Gooden make a move for the 5th position. So another battle farther back. The number 12 and the number 4 car. Scott Michaels currently right behind Yao Pinho. R4R Motorsport versus AB Racing Silver.
Yep, through the carousel that was.
Currently on board with Scott Michaels.
Who clips the grass on the inside of the King? Nearly runs out wide on the grass. Getting a
Did he
better
possibly
run.
get a slowdown from that?
Yeah,
I don't think he did.
Two
but
wheels were just inside the curb on the inside, so I don't know if it would have been tight enough for it to trip the slowdown system.
Just notice how he brakes. So.
So a quick escape there.
I believe R4R Motorsport definitely from Live for Speed. Scott Michaels as well. Can't actually remember if they competed in Masters of Endurance or not.
R4R, I think they did IGTC as the Mr. Michael
Yes.
hits.
Yes, I know for IGTC for sure. IGTC actually almost IGTC and MOE's kind of merged a little bit with this series here. Single class, large endurance races.
Well, of course, remember, MOE started as single class back in 2005.
Yes, it did.
2 whole seasons of single class.
We have another battle, which I can't pronounce the name of the number 92 car, but he has caught the back of Oscar Mangan, Le Mans Rennsport. High Revs Racing is the number 92 car.
You mean the driver of the number 92 car?
Yeah, I can't pronounce that. I'll be honest.
Prismislaw Danowski?
Danowski seems right. I don't. You say Prismislaw?
Prismislaw, something like that?
Alright, you can pronounce it.
That's a guess. Well, you remember we had a Polish guy in LFS with a similar start to his name.
That is true, actually.
And we tried many ways of pronouncing it. I don't think he ever told us that.
So they're actually one of the closest battles on track outside of, let's see, what's the 4GT up to? I believe he's in a battle. If I'm looking at this correctly. Well, currently, actually.
You mean the Glacier Racing Ford GT3?
Correct.
They are headed through the kink as this now.
Correct. Looks like they actually got around All-Star Racing here on this lap, previously this lap. And they're currently pulling away. Tapani doing a great job in the Ford there. Currently in 18th position. Different pit strategy than other cars. Who knows, maybe the strength of the Ford GT is doing less pit stops. Not sure. If they can do hour stints and everyone else is doing 55-minute stints, I believe that'll be 2 pit stops they're saving. Don't quote me on that though.
Yeah, I think in some of the practice we saw Ford GT was, but at least on a single lap, was a second and a half, 2 seconds slower.
Yeah, a good second half as well. The car seems good in the high speed, strong high speed, but it seems to really lack in those low speed corners, trying to get the power down mainly. Under braking seems really well, seems to be really good as well. It's just simple, low corner grip, or low speed grip, sorry, and we can really see that, a track like this where, sure, there's a lot of straights, but also, you have to really slow down, like through here, for example, and get the power down. Really tough going over that crest as well. Also have to note that it's not the same type of gearbox as the other 3 cars. Back up at the front here. Let's see what's going on. Rens Broekman, or Coanda, number 18 car. Just doing his own laps. Seems to be about 1 or 2 tenths faster a lap than Christian. Jeez, some check in second. We've seen this gap slowly increase. I don't know if, for example, Enzo Bonito for Team Redline, if he will get back in the car and what pace he can do. At the beginning of the race, he drove behind Martin Kronk a lot, so I'm not quite sure what will happen if he's getting back in the car or what.
Oh, the lapped CTC racing car there, just getting a little wide at the exit of Canada corner.
Christian should have a run here and easily draft and be able to get by. CTC will. Looks like they're just simply giving way, which is nice. As you can see though, I mean, that lap, about 1.2 seconds, 1.1 seconds difference in between Rens and Christian. Another battle we have here, which actually right behind the Team Redline car is Flux Racing team number 24 against CTC Racing and then number 49. Both BMWs here.
Flux Racing team being the lime green, grayish BMW. Sing.
Yeah, 2 teams as well. CTC, I believe, is from Lotus 79. I believe, actually. They do a lot of Lotus 79 racing and stuff like that. They come here for Masters of Endurance, and so far they're doing a good job. Car looks clean. Don't look like they've made any mistakes.
All 4 of their drivers from the Benelux Club.
Speaking of that, I think I might have forgot. Oh no, I have not forgot. Team Unacceptable, the number 21, who I believe is actually currently out of the race. But that's the only All-American team, I believe, competing in this. CTC look like they have Mark Pickford. Oh,
I was
which
talking
team were you
about
talking
Flux.
about? Oh, Flux. Okay. Also want to note that the first and second place cars, sure, Renz is pulling away from Christian ever so slightly, but then also positions have changed a little bit for third and fourth. NX Racing Red is ahead of NX Racing Yellow, but it's weird because you have a 49-second gap behind Christian to NX Racing Red, so maybe something happened to NX Racing Yellow that we might have missed. I'm not sure.
Another lapped car for these 2 in the battle we're watching to overtake. Jesus Basilis in the CTC racing car.
Yeah, it seems like he's just stalking Bert right now for Flux. Or sorry, Bert is stalking Jesus. CTC Racing. Come across a back marker here. Everyone's
Back
taking
marker
it.
yields through Canada.
Yeah, everyone being nice and cautious here. Just about to the halfway mark, actually. And oh, by the way, just a heads up, that McLaren behind the Flux Racing team, that is for position. Darren Seal for Team Kimura, number 1, has caught up. A little help with traffic, it looks like.
Yep, the McLaren navigates the traffic, so all 3 clear of traffic for another few minutes. Lap car re-overtakes through turn 3.
Oh, he's actually the number 33 car, Core Motorsport. He's actually in 7th position, yeah.
I just
So
noticed that.
he's lapping him, yeah.
So, the rough. Working its way through a couple other German makes.
Looks. Looks like Team Kimura has dropped off a little bit. Number 99 of NX Racing Red is now pit from the 3rd position. Looks like they're going to drop back to at least 5th. So it was because they hadn't done a pit stop yet is why they were listed in the 3rd position. Sorry, they're going to come out 6th actually. Pure Racing #1 car has also overtaken them. Darren Seal really closing up on the Flux Racing team here. Not really a place to make a move just yet. These 3 cars you see there on screen are all battling for position. 23rd position to be exact.
Yeah, it looks like these two, Flux and Chimera, was it what we're saying? Chimera. Catching CTC. And we've got someone grenading just up ahead of these guys.
Yeah, that's...
It's the Core Racing car. Core Racing car 6 in 44th position. Niklas Lordson. Engine has gone kablamo massively.
Oh yeah, the front of that car is missing. Clearly they've had some form of crash. Looks like a big spin happened in the kink actually.
Yep, taking a look at the replay. Just missed the apex by about half a car width, right just wide. Car broke loose when he clipped the grass. Spun and hit the inside.
Yeah, that kink's probably one of the... Actually, it's probably the scariest corner on this track. Just so much speed carrying through. Simply if you get it just a little bit wrong, it could be race ending.
So Flux Racing Team has pulled away a little bit in the first couple corners from Team Chimera.
It looks like they're catching CTC now. Yep.
Right up against the back of CTC into turn 5. Heading through the hurry downs. Heading up towards the carousel. CTC taking a wide line into the carousel. Flux taking a early apex, kind of a double apex through.
Yeah, they're battling as well, and Yao Cardoso, you can probably see in the background that blue McLaren, slowly inching his way closer.
How much aero influence is there when you're this close?
As in like an aero push, for example, from losing
Yes.
the front downforce? I wouldn't say a huge amount. You definitely probably have it in the carousel and the kink. But as far as like all these other corners here, maybe this fast left might have some. But I don't think it's not a huge amount. It's not anything like the F1 car or anything like that.
Of course, we know from LFS time as Flux Racing Team heads into the pit lane. But as we know from LFS days, Phil, LFS GT cars had huge slipstream trails.
Yeah, I mean it had slipstream in general where you could almost easily pass on it. It just felt like DRS. And then if you got behind someone as well through a corner, just pushed wide, overheated the front tires.
AB Racing Black, Ricardo Costa right on the back of the Team Chimera Darren Seal car, heading through the moraine sweeps towards turn 5.
Yeah, this is turning into a pretty big battle here, actually. Yao Cardoso right behind him. 4-car battle for the 23rd position.
Yep, to the inside goes Costa into turn 5. Will he complete the pass? Looks so. So Costa up into 24th. Begins his process of chasing the CTC racing machine. And Orion Racing Team, Joao Cardoso also behind Team Chimera car.
Just want to note that Team Redline have done a pit stop and they've put Enzo Benito back into the car. So it'll be interesting to see how his times compare to Ren's.
Actually, straight that. Right on the back bumper of CTC Racing is Costa. Navy Racing heading out of Canada's corner into the final complex of corners. Getting a little on the grass and to the inside. Looks like CTC yielding that position. And Kimura Darren Seal also on the back of the CTC racing car, side by side across the start finish line. And both of them are closing in on AB Black, who covers the right hand side, and a car joining the track up ahead. Could have caused some interference there.
Yeah, it looked like
So-
he was trying to play the draft game, which car he wanted behind him. And almost ended up cutting in front of the car there.
Or he was
Bit
trying to
dangerous.
make his car as wide as the track.
Yeah, that's true too. Gotta be careful with that.
So the Joao Cardoso for the Orion race team, just sitting back in 26th, waiting for a chance to move. So CTC in the course of the front straightaway, losing 2 positions.
Now I know Yao was talking about he had some pretty low FPS his first stint. Could have been just simply, all the cars on track and everything. The field's been spread out now, so hopefully he can get a more cleaner stint in here.
The AB Racing silver car is that white car just ahead of these 4 cars. It's lapped down in 30th with Alexander Kitano at the wheel. And again, CTC not getting a good run at all through the kink, and about to get mugged by the Orion race team car. Up the inside, came in the corner, around, no issues. So perhaps tires getting worn, not enough grip for CTC racing where they need it.
It's hard to tell really, who's on what lap in their stint. I believe, don't quote me on this. No, actually, Yao Cardoso is only on lap 11 of his stint. CTC is on lap 26, so CTC is going to be pitting very soon. So yeah, probably tire differences.
Alrighty. Well, we have just crossed the halfway mark, and we're going to take a quick moment to do a break in the stream so the recordings are more manageable for us uploading for your viewing pleasure post-race. And we'll be back with the final 6 hours of the race in just a minute. It should take about 10 or 15 seconds. Your stream should reconnect. Stay with us, everyone.